Germany of Iron and Blood. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76, Tangled Emperor. For the German Navy, if Qin Tian can become the crown prince, that would undoubtedly be the best result. Qin Tian gave the Navy too much help and support. Once Qin Tian becomes the crown prince, it is foreseeable that Qin Tian will definitely provide more support to the Navy. Marshal Earl Tirpitz even believed that no one is more suitable than Qin Tian to become the crown prince of the empire. This is in the best interests of Germany. However, everyone knows that it is undoubtedly very difficult for Qin Tian to surpass the other princes and become the crown prince. First of all, the law of succession to the throne is not a decoration, and there are still many stubborn people who believe that the law must be followed. Secondly, the attitude of William II is also very important. If William II's attitude is to firmly deny it, Qin Tian will have to launch a coup if he wants to become the crown prince. And this is almost impossible to succeed. As long as Qin Tian hadn't had his head caught by the door, he wouldn't have done that. Your Highness, no matter what, the Navy is your most staunch supporter. We sincerely hope that you can become the crown prince of the empire and lead the entire empire to a more glorious future. Marshal Earl Tirpitz said sincerely, Your Excellency Marshal, thank you for your support. If I really have the opportunity to lead this empire, I will definitely do my best to bring you the victory everyone expects. Qin Tian also gave Tirpitz Marshal Earl of Sis a guarantee. At this time, the support of the military is also very important to him. In terms of emotion and reason, he couldn't let the military down. Marshal Earl Tirpitz nodded in satisfaction, with a smile on his face. Qin Tian's answer was undoubtedly exactly what he wanted. Time passed little by little, and 2 days later, the follow-up development of Crown Prince William's fall from the horse gradually became clear. Essen von Jonnerlet reported to William II the results of the investigation, as well as the Royal Hospital's diagnosis of Crown Prince William's condition. Your Majesty, according to our investigation, we can be sure that the fall of Crown Prince William's horse was completely accidental. It is very dangerous for the Crown Prince to ride a horse while drunk. In addition, the forefoot of the flatterer fell into the snow pit and broke, so that the Crown Prince was arrested. It was thrown out and hit its head on a rock. If it was artificially designed, it would be impossible to do everything so perfectly. Essen von Jonnerlet said. King William II nodded. Poor prince. It seems that all this is really an accident. William II expressed sympathy for what happened to Crown Prince William. At the same time, the worries in my heart also dissipated a lot. At least, the worst isn't happening. That was Qin Tian's revenge on Crown Prince William. This is where Wilhelm II was gratified. What does the Royal Hospital say? Can Prince recover? William II asked. Your Majesty, the Royal Hospital has rescued His Highness the Crown Prince out of danger. However, His Highness the Crown Prince has been in a coma because of a hit to the head. Essen von Jonnerlet said. So, when will His Highness the Crown Prince wake up? William II asked. This, I'm afraid it's hard to say. The conclusion of the Royal Hospital is that they are not sure when His Royal Highness the Crown Prince will wake up, because there is congestion in his head, which oppresses his nerves. Okay, Essen, you just need to tell me whether His Royal Highness the Crown Prince has woken up. William II interrupted Essen von Jonnerlet's long speech. Your Majesty, the final conclusion of the hospital is that the possibility of His Highness the Crown Prince waking up is very small. I'm afraid that he will continue to sleep like this and become a vegetative state. Of course, the possibility that a miracle will happen and His Highness the Crown Prince will suddenly wake up is not ruled out. Essen von Jonnerlet said. Vegetable? Prince will become a vegetable? William II's face became quite ugly. Such a result is undoubtedly difficult for him to accept. Your Majesty, Essen von Jonnerlet wanted to persuade him, but was stopped by William II. Okay, Essen, you don't need to say any more. I already know. Don't worry, such a blow can't knock me down. William II said. Yes, Your Majesty. Essen von Jonnerlet nodded. Essen, go and inform the Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, Chief of Staff, Secretary of the Navy and Minister of War, to hold an imperial meeting tonight. William II said with a dark face. Yes, Your Majesty. Essen von Jonnereit knew the purpose of William II holding the imperial meeting. Since Crown Prince William can't wake up, naturally he can no longer perform the duties of a crown prince. So, now it is necessary to reselect a crown prince. The German Empire cannot live without a crown prince. After Essen von Jonnereit left, a trace of sadness flashed in William II's eyes. As a father, seeing his son become a vegetable, he felt very uncomfortable. It's just that, as an emperor, he doesn't have time to pay attention to these children's love. He needs to focus on the overall situation. Oscar, is he a suitable candidate for the crown prince? If he is allowed to become the crown prince, then I'm afraid that he will encounter great resistance. However, I have to admit that Oscar is indeed the best choice among the many princes. William II frowned. Oscar is his fifth son. After Crown Prince William became a vegetable, there are 3 sons ahead of him. It is not so difficult to surpass these princes and become the crown prince of the German Empire. Of course, if William II can make up his mind and strongly support Qin Tian to become the crown prince of the German Empire, even if it is difficult, it will definitely be possible in the end. If Oscar becomes the crown prince and Prince wakes up again in the future, what should we do? Thinking that this possibility does exist, William II couldn't help but feel even more headache. Regarding the fall of Crown Prince William, William II felt a little guilty. If the position of Crown Prince William is taken away, and Crown Prince William wakes up again in the future, it will be even more difficult to explain. Damn, how could this be? Why did such an embarrassing thing happen? William II was a little speechless. However, this is the end of the matter, and William II has no other choice. With Crown Prince William in a coma, the position of Crown Prince cannot always be reserved for him. The German Empire needs a crown prince to ensure the stability of the country. Let the subjects of the empire believe that the future of the empire is still unlimited. Chapter 77, Military Support. On December 26th, just after Christmas, a royal meeting concerning the future of Germany was held in William II's office. The senior military and political officials of the German Communist Party present at the meeting all had serious faces. Everyone must have known about the misfortune that happened to Crown Prince William just now. The Royal Hospital has already diagnosed it. It may be difficult for Crown Prince William to wake up again. A trace of sadness flashed in William II's eyes. God, poor His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Prime Minister Bernhard von Gillow couldn't help saying. The other ministers also silently repeatedly. Indeed, there is probably no crown prince in the world who is more pitiful than Crown Prince William. The heir of such a powerful empire has become a vegetable, and the rest of his life can only be spent in a bed or a wheelchair. Thinking about it makes people feel pitiful. Okay, everyone, I believe that everything is God's will. God will bless Prince, the poor child. William II said. The ministers all looked at William II, waiting for his next words. Everyone knows that determining the next crown prince candidate is the most important topic of today's meeting. Everyone, when Crown Prince William is unable to continue to fulfill the responsibilities of crown prince, the empire needs a new crown prince. According to the law of succession to the throne, Prince Ethel Friedrich, the second in line heir, should become the new crown prince. Everyone agrees. Any comments? William II asked. Your Majesty, we are very saddened by such a tragedy that happened to Crown Prince William. However, I don't think Prince Friedrich is a suitable candidate. The Crown Prince of the Empire needs outstanding personal ability and excellent character. Okay. I think Prince Oscar is the most suitable candidate. Marshal Earl Tirpitz was the first to stand up and express his opinion. The ministers all nodded subconsciously. If they had to choose between Prince Ethel Friedrich and Qin Tian would undoubtedly be the best choice. After all, as important ministers of the empire, they all hope that the future of the empire will be better, and this requires choosing an excellent heir for the empire, rather than an incompetent person. Of course, among the ministers, there are no objections. For example, Zhao Maoki, chief of the general staff, did not think that Qin Tian was a suitable candidate. After all, From his own standpoint, a strong heir to the empire will greatly restrict the power in his hands. What's more, he had already offended Qin Tian, so he didn't want Qin Tian to come to power. If Prince Ethel Friedrich becomes the crown prince of the empire, and will become the emperor of the empire in the future, it will undoubtedly be better controlled. After all, if Prince Ethel Friedrich, who doesn't have much ability, wants to secure his position, he must get his support. Your Excellency Tirpitz, forgive me for not agreeing with your statement. Prince Oscar's ability is very outstanding, and I have no objection to this. However, we have to admit that according to the law of succession to the throne, Prince Oscar is ranked first the 5th place. In addition to Prince Ethel Friedrich, there are Prince Adalbert and Prince August William. If Prince Oscar becomes the crown prince, it does not mean trampling on the succession of the throne in the future. What kind of criteria should be used to determine the successor of the empire? Everything will be messed up. Therefore, I firmly oppose the succession of the crown prince by Prince Oscar, and Ethel Friedrich should follow the law of succession to the throne. The prince will succeed you as the crown prince. The chief of the general staff, Zhao Maoki, jumped out and clearly expressed his opposition to Qin Tian's succession as the crown prince. However, I have to admit that what Zhao Maoki said is also very reasonable. The character of the Germans is inherently very rigorous and rigid. They have always strictly followed the law. It is undoubtedly very difficult to get them to trample on the law. Even William II couldn't help nodding. He also had some doubts about his desire to establish Qin Tian as the crown prince in his heart. Is this a good thing for Germany? Damn it, little Maoki, this old guy is clearly doing it for his own self-interest and disregarding the interests of the empire. Marshal Earl Tirpitz couldn't help cursing inwardly. Marshal Earl Tirpitz is very clear about what kind of person little Moltke is. He also knew that Qin Tian didn't like Zhao Maoki. Under such circumstances, in order to ensure his own power, Zhao Maoki will naturally do his best to prevent Qin Tian from taking the throne. The law of succession to the throne cannot be trampled on in pieces. However, the empire is about to face a huge war, which concerns the future of Germany. We must choose an outstanding heir for the empire. Only in this way can the future ensure that the empire can survive the war. Win. Marshal Count Tirpitz insisted. Your Excellency Tirpitz, Prince Oscar has indeed provided a lot of support for the navy, but you can't trample on the laws of the empire because of this. I don't deny that Prince Oscar is a very outstanding prince. However, he is only 18 now. No one can tell what will happen in the future. What's more, even if Prince Oscar fails to become the crown prince, with his ability, he can still support the empire's military build-up and development. Maoki retorted. Although, Zhao Maoki knew that his statement would soon reach Qin Tian's ears, and doing so would undoubtedly offend Qin Tian to death. However, now he is already unable to get off the tiger. For his own status and power, he had to do so. William II frowned. He didn't expect that Tirpitz and Moltke would have such a big reaction when Qin Tian succeeded as crown prince. Originally, he thought that with Qin Tian's ability, these ministers would easily pass. But now it seems that things are a bit beyond his expectation. You know, these two people are his very trusted courtiers. The completely different attitudes of the two also made him have some doubts in his heart. Little Maoki, don't think I don't know what you think. You have offended Prince Oscar yourself, and you are worried that after he becomes the crown prince, your position as chief of the general staff will be lost. Marshal Count Tirpitz said. Tirpitz, you are talking nonsense. When did I offend Prince Oscar? Even if I did, it was for the benefit of the empire. I think Prince Oscar wouldn't be so disregarding the interests of the empire. Little Maoki-san became angry from embarrassment. Okay, both of you restrain yourself. Today's meeting is for everyone to express their opinions on the crown prince, not to mention other things. William II said with some dissatisfaction. Chapter 78, The Dust Settles. Your Excellency, Prime Minister, what do you think about the candidate for the new crown prince? William II looked at Prime Minister Bernhard von Bülow. The military's attitude was so sharp that William II needed to listen to the opinions of the civilian faction. Your Majesty, His Royal Highness Prince Oscar has excellent abilities and good conduct. He is undoubtedly a very good candidate. But unfortunately, his ranking is too low. If Prince Oscar is appointed as the new crown prince, I'm afraid it will cause quite a few people of course. Everything depends on His Majesty's will. If His Majesty decides to appoint Prince Oscar as crown prince, even if there are objections, it will not cause too much impact. Prime Minister Billow said. Prime Minister Billow's words, there is no difference between saying and not saying. He undoubtedly meant only one thing, that is, on this issue, William II's attitude is very important. As long as Wilhelm II decides, other people's opinions don't matter at all. Your Excellency, Minister of Foreign Affairs, what is your attitude? William II asked. Your Majesty, our current international environment is very bad. Britain, France, and Russia are getting closer and closer, and have even formed a de facto military alliance. Under such an external environment, once there is a dispute over our succession to the throne, it will cause their interference. They will even use this to accuse us and further discredit us internationally. Von Kidron-Wachter was a little worried. HMPH. The inheritance of the empire has nothing to do with other countries. It is not their turn to express their opinions on what the empire should do. William II snorted coldly. Succession to the throne belongs to the internal affairs of a country and has nothing to do with other countries. As a very powerful monarch, William II naturally did not want the internal affairs of a country to be interfered by other countries. Von Kidron-Wachter nodded. No more to say. He has already expressed his opinion. As for how to choose, it is not up to him to decide. William II frowned tightly, and now the focus of the question is on confirming Qin Tian as the crown prince. Whether this will violate the law of succession to the throne and cause large-scale dissatisfaction. However, if other princes are chosen as the crown prince, but their abilities are very limited, William II does not think that they are capable of being a good crown prince. The current situation in Germany is not good. Therefore, the crown prince of the empire must be a person with excellent ability. This point, Wilhelm II is quite agreeable. How to choose? This made William II a little unsure. When Marshal Count Tirpitz saw this situation, he couldn't help feeling a little angry. Originally, he thought that making Qin Tian the crown prince should be a sure thing. As long as the heads of these important ministers of the empire are not caught by the door, they will not object. But who would have known that, because of Xiao Maoqi's disruption, the focus of the conflict was successfully shifted to the law of succession to the throne. He had promised Qin Tian at the beginning that it would be no problem for Qin Tian to become the crown prince of the empire. If he didn't succeed, wouldn't that make him lose his promise? Damn little Maoqi, this old guy actually disregarded the righteousness of the country for his own self-interest. It is simply too shameless. Marshal Earl Tirpitz was very angry. Your Majesty, I still think that Prince Oscar is the most suitable candidate. The most important task placed on the empire at present is to win future wars. Therefore, we need a crown prince with excellent capabilities. Future wars are related to the survival of the empire. We cannot avoid any mistakes. We must do our best in all aspects. Marshal Earl Tirpitz continued. HMPH. The old guy Tirpitz seems determined to push that kid Oscar to the position of crown prince. But, I won't let him do so. Little Maoqi sneered in his heart. Just as little Maoqi was about to speak, another person spoke up first. Your Majesty, I also believe that Prince Oscar is the best candidate for the crown prince. Although Prince Oscar is relatively low in the ranking, this is an extraordinary period, and we must consider it for the benefit of the empire. If a war breaks out in the future, the empires there will be a lot of affairs, and His Majesty needs a crown prince with excellent ability to assist. Among the many princes, no one is more suitable than Prince Oscar. Even if it violates the law of succession to the throne, as long as the empire can, it is also worthwhile to win the war. What's more, with Prince Oscar's reputation in the however, there are probably very few people who oppose him becoming the crown prince of the empire. The speaker was none other than Minister of War von Falkenhayn. In the army system, Little Maoqi is the first person who does his part. Von Falkenhayn is second only to Little Maoqi's army leader. Unlike Marshal Count Tirpitz in the navy, Little Maoqi and von Falkenhayn, in order to compete for power, often have very unpleasant quarrels. Relying on the trust of Wilhelm II, Little Maoqi has been overwhelming von Falkenhayn. And this also made von Falkenhayn want to drive Little Maoqi down all the time. It would be best if he could replace little Maoki and serve as the chief of staff. In this way, he will be able to establish the status of the first person in the army like the Marshal Earl Tirpitz. Now, with the change of Crown Prince, von Falkenhayn sees an opportunity. Little Moltke has a close relationship with Crown Prince William, but now Crown Prince William has become a vegetable. If Qin Tian can become the Crown Prince, with the relationship between Qin Tian and Xiao Maoki will definitely not be able to secure the position of Chief of Staff. And this gave von Falkenhayn an excellent opportunity. So, at this time, von Falkenhayn acted decisively and showed his support for Qin Tian. Little Maoki looked at von Falkenhayn angrily. He never thought that he would be stabbed from the back at this time. When he was arguing with Marshal Earl Tirpitz before, he thought he represented the opinion of the entire army. But now, internal strife has arisen within the army. This greatly reduced the weight of his words. Marshal Count Tirpitz couldn't help laughing when he saw this situation. He knew that the balance of victory had begun to tilt in his favor. William II's attitude will change accordingly. Sure enough, von Falkenhayn's statement was like the last straw that broke the camel's back, and William II quickly made up his mind. Now, for the benefit of the empire, certain changes must be made. Chapter 79, Acting Crown Prince. Okay, I already know everyone's opinions. I will think about it carefully. Tomorrow, I will officially inform everyone of my decision. William II said. After fully understanding the opinions of the ministers, William II undoubtedly had a decision in mind. Yes, Your Majesty, the ministers said one after another. Little Maoki saw that William II had made a decision, and although he was unwilling, he still didn't say anything in the end. He knew that, if he talked too much, it would only arouse William II's disgust. Little Moltke knew the character of William II very well, and knew that he was a headstrong and conceited person. Once a decision has been made, it cannot be questioned by others. Otherwise, he will be regarded as a provocation to himself. Little Maoki knew that the reason why he was able to come to this day was entirely because of William II's trust in him. Otherwise, he would never have such a day. Therefore, following William II and avoiding angering William II has always been his style and guidelines. After all the ministers left, William II leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. The navy and part of the army all support Oscar. It seems that Oscar's succession as crown prince is already what everyone expects. William II said. Although, he still has some doubts about this in his heart, and there is a little bit of resistance. However, he knew that for the benefit of the empire, it was undoubtedly the best choice for Qin Tian to take over as the crown prince of the empire. Qin Tian's abilities in all aspects are qualified for the position of crown prince. Essen, let someone bring Oscar, I want to see him. William II ordered. Yes, Your Majesty. Essen von Jonnerlet nodded. After receiving the notice from the palace, Qin Tian rushed to the palace immediately. Although, the imperial meeting has just ended. However, Qin Tian already knew the specific content. He knew that at the meeting, Count and Marshal Tirpitz gave him strong support, which moved him very much. In addition, the crucial support of von Falkenhayn allowed Wilhelm II to make the final decision. And little Maoki's attack on him, Qin Tian also knew clearly. He kept all these in his heart. Once he becomes the crown prince, the liquidation will be carried out gradually. Little Maoki, you still make such an unwise choice at this time. At that time, you will be the one to look at. Qin Tian secretly made up his mind. In Qin Tian's view, Xiao Maoki is not suitable to be the chief of the general staff at all. It was precisely because of his modification of the Schlieffen plan that the German army failed to quickly open up the situation at the beginning of the war in another time and space, and fell into a stalemate, causing Germany to be dragged to death in the end. If given the chance, he would definitely replace Maoki with a qualified chief of staff. After arriving at the palace, Qin Tian went directly to William II's office. From Essen von Jonnerlet, he knew that William II had been waiting for him after the imperial meeting ended. Father, I'm here. Qin Tian stood in front of William II. Oscar, sit down. William II pointed to the sofa in front of him. Qin Tian sat on the sofa, waiting for William II's next instruction. He knew that, if he wanted to become the crown prince, the meeting with William II today should be the final word. Oscar, Prince has fallen from the horse, so that he can no longer perform the duties of the crown prince. The empire needs a new crown prince. Almost all the ministers think that you are suitable to be the new crown prince of the empire. What do you think about this? William II she stared at Qin Tian with burning eyes. Father, my eldest brother fell off his horse and has not yet recovered. This is undoubtedly a disaster for the empire. I have been praying to God that he can wake up. I believe that God will definitely bless my eldest brother. For the position of the crown prince, everything is decided by the father. If the father has a more suitable candidate, I will definitely try my best to assist. I promise, whether I become the crown prince or not, I will contribute my strength to the empire. Qin God knows, apart from him in the current empire, there is no more suitable candidate at all. William II nodded. Oscar, I recognize your ability very much. Your conduct is also very good. It can be said that you are a very perfect candidate for the crown prince. However, it is precisely because of this that it makes I have some doubts. You know, you were not like this 2 years ago. At that time, you were withdrawn and mean-spirited. But in a blink of an eye, you seem to be a different person, which makes me very puzzled. Can you tell me what happened to you? Father, a person has to grow up. Especially men. They must learn to take their own responsibilities. It is precisely because I want to understand this that I changed. Qin Tian replied calmly. Of course Qin Tian would not tell William II that there is a soul from more than 100 years in the body of Prince Oscar. If that's the case, then he wouldn't have to use it for slice research, or even tie it to the stake and burn it alive. Anyway, as long as he refuses to admit to this kind of thing, others will have nothing to do with him. King William II frowned, and it took a while for his brows to relax. It was as if he agreed with Qin Tian's statement. Oscar, no matter what, you are my son. I hope that you can fight for the empire. Only when the empire is strong, we, the masters of the empire, can enjoy the current life and power. Once the empires collapse, our everything will cease to exist. William II said earnestly. Yes, father. Qin Tian tried his best to control the joy in his heart, and tried his best to make his expression look flat. King William II nodded. Oscar, I hope you can really do it. Subsequently, William II went on to say, after comprehensively considering the opinions of the ministers, I have decided to make you the acting crown prince of the empire. Replacing the crown prince? Qin Tian was taken aback. The crown prince is the crown prince. Why is there such a thing as the acting crown prince? Is it possible that William II will continue to test him? Oscar, the position of crown prince belongs to prince after all. No matter how wrong he is your elder brother after all. I hope that, if he can wake up one day, you can return the position of crown prince to him. Of course, if when I'm reborn, if he has not been able to wake up, then everything will be forgotten. William II said. Once he dies, Qin Tian will surely succeed to the throne, and become the emperor of the empire. At that time, even if Crown Prince William wakes up, it is impossible for Qin Tian to return the throne to Crown Prince William. All levels of the empire will not allow such a thing to happen. After all, the change of the throne is no child's play. Chapter 80, it's mine and no one can take it away. This decision of William II made Qin Tian very aggrieved. He never expected that William II would add the word generation before his position as Crown Prince. Qin Tian knew that in William II's mind, he was still inferior to Crown Prince William. Although, he is better than Crown Prince William. Crown Prince William has done so many assholes, but in the mind of William II, he will still not be replaced. William II made him the Crown Prince of the Empire this time, which was more of a compromise. Because the Empire needs a wise and mighty heir to the throne. If Crown Prince William wakes up soon, Qin Tian can guarantee that William II will immediately depose him, and make Crown Prince William the heir to the throne of the Empire again. Many things in the world are just so unfair. The same is true for Qin Tian. However, even though he felt aggrieved in his heart, Qin Tian still didn't dare to show it, let alone refuse. If he refuses, not only will he completely offend William II, but it will also completely miss him as the Crown Prince. For Qin Tian, the best way is to accept the arrangement of William II. As for the future, let's figure out a way later. Anyway, he won't sit still. In terms of the strength he has mastered, once he becomes the crown prince, he will definitely get further development. At that time, even if William II wants to replace him, it will not be so easy. Okay, father, I don't have any opinion on this. After all, the crown prince originally belonged to the eldest brother, and I just took care of it for him temporarily, Qin Tian said calmly. King William II nodded in satisfaction. He knew that Qin Tian would be very unwilling. However, Qin Tian still chose to obey in the end, which made undoubtedly William II very satisfied. He believed that he will had been carried out. This empire is still in his hands. His will determines the fate of all people. Oscar, I'm very satisfied with your performance. I hope that you can make greater contributions to the empire in the position of crown prince. Once I think that you will inherit the throne sooner than prince, you may not have become a real opportunity for the crown prince, said William II. William II knew that, if he wanted Qin Tian to do his best, he still needed to give Qin Tian some motivation. Yes, father. Qin Tian was disdainful in his heart. He knew that William II was slapping a sweet date, and he was not a child, so how could he be fooled like this? Father, how can we circumvent the law of succession to the throne? If I are allowed to inherit the position of crown prince, many people will be dissatisfied, and it will even cause quite a disturbance. Qin Tian was a little worried. I will take care of the law of succession to the throne. With me around, those old guys can't make any trouble, William II said domineeringly. Although, Western monarchs are not as powerful as Eastern monarchs. But in the German Empire, where the national power is booming, the emperor's influence is undoubtedly still great. There are people who dare to fight against the imperial power, but the number is very small. William II also has a lot of ways to deal with these people, especially after getting the support of the ministers. This is even more so. Qin Tian nodded, and he also knew that if William II couldn't handle this, then he would be too incompetent as emperor. Father, what about the second, third and fourth brothers? They are in front of me, Qin Tian continued. He believed that his other three elder brothers were also eyeing the crown prince. Crown Prince William's status was stable before, and he had spared no effort to suppress them, making they dare not have any thoughts about the position of crown prince. But now, Crown Prince William has become a vegetable. The ambition in their hearts must have grown like weeds. It is foreseeable that they will definitely make demands on the crown prince. Although, these sons of William II can only be regarded as mediocre in terms of ability. However, this did not hinder their pursuit of the throne. HMPH. Those ignorant guys, what qualifications do they have to become crown princes? If they really dare to have such unreasonable thoughts, I will let them wake up and let them know what self-knowledge is. William II's face was cold. Although, those princes are also his sons. However, he had already given up hope for them. In the eyes of William II, they were just eating and waiting to die. Qin Tian nodded and said no more. He knew that William II had already decided all of this. No matter how much he said, it was useless. Instead of this, it is better to leave everything to William II. He just needs to prepare for the current crown prince with peace of mind. Next, William II gave Qin Tian a face-to-face order and taught him experience of being the crown prince. Before becoming the emperor of the German Empire, Wilhelm II also served as the crown prince. It's just that Frederick III passed away after being emperor for just over 3 months, which allowed William II to succeed to the throne as emperor of Germany at the age of 29. Qin Tian humbly accepts these experiences. He knows that there will always be a time when it will be useful in the future. However, this does not mean that he will willingly accept William II's arrangements. There is no way now, so he can only accept the appointment of acting crown prince. Once given the chance, he will definitely fight back, even if it is a coup d'etat. Besides, for William II, a cheap father, Qin Tian didn't have much family approval in his heart. The current history, and the history that Qin Tian is familiar with, have had some deviations. In another time and space, there was no such thing as Crown Prince William falling off his horse. At the same time, Qin Tian also doubted whether William II would live that long in this time and space. After staying in the palace for a full 2 hours, until 12 o'clock in the middle of the night, Qin took his leave. Although William II allowed him to stay in the palace, Qin Tian declined. Too many things happened tonight. He needs to find a place to calm down, and at the same time, make a good plan for the future. After Qin Tian left the palace, his two fists could not help but clenched tightly together. Since God reborn me into this era, now I have the opportunity to become the Crown Prince of Germany. Even if it is the acting Crown Prince, this will eventually have the opportunity to inherit the throne of this country. This time, I will not compromise again, and will not back off. Anyone, don't even try to take what belongs to me from me. Qin Tian secretly made up his mind. Chapter 81. Take office immediately. Your Highness, congratulations. When Qin Tian returned to his residence in Berlin, the Minister of the Navy, Marshal Count Tirpitz, was still waiting here. It can be seen that he is very happy. Marshal, thank you for your help. Without your help, I would not be able to succeed. Qin Tian looked very humble. Your Highness, helping you is helping the German Empire Navy and the German Empire. I have always believed in this. I believe that you will become an outstanding monarch and lead the German Empire to win future wars. Marshal Earl Pitts is very confident in his vision. Your Excellency, Marshal, I will do my best to lead the German Empire to victory in future wars. Qin Tian said solemnly. Now that he has become the acting Crown Prince of Germany, he has no reason to preserve his power. His fate has been tied with Germany. If Germany loses the war, he will be worthless and even lose his life. Therefore, for himself and for the German Empire, he must do his best in future wars. Marshal Count Tirpitz nodded. Your Highness, your Majesty still wants to see you at such a late hour. Has he decided to appoint you as the Crown Prince of the Empire? Qin Tian smiled helplessly and then said, Your Majesty has decided to appoint me as acting Crown Prince. Acting Crown Prince? Marshal Earl Tirpitz was also taken aback. He didn't expect William II to make such a decision. Since it was decided to make Qin Tian the Crown Prince, why did he add a code word in front? Wouldn't that cause Qin Tian's dissatisfaction? Yes, acting Crown Prince. It can be said that my position as Crown Prince is only temporary. If Crown Prince William wakes up one day and I have not yet sat on the throne, the position of Crown Prince will be returned to Crown Prince William. Qin Tian looked helpless. What? How did this happen? How could your Majesty issue such absurd orders? Why is there such a thing as returning the Crown Prince? Besides, you are more suitable to lead this empire than Crown Prince William. No, I have to ask your Majesty, why did you make such a decision? Marshal Earl Tirpitz looked resentful. Your Excellency Marshal, thank you for your support. However, since His Majesty has already made such a decision with his character, it is undoubtedly unchangeable. If you insist on bringing it up, it will only have the opposite effect. Yes. Qin Tian stopped Count Tirpitz and Marshal Earl Tirpitz nodded. Of course he knew the character of William II very well. Your Highness, this is too unfair to you. Fair? There is no so-called fairness or unfairness in this world. The only thing I can do is to make some achievements in the position of Crown Prince, so as to gain everyone's and His Majesty's approval. Qin Tian said, Your Highness, it would be best if you can think this way. No matter what, the Navy will stand by your side and will always support you. Marshal Earl Tirpitz said happily. He was also worried that Qin Tian would be dissatisfied with this and would do something wrong because of it. Thank you, Marshal. I guarantee that the Imperial German Navy will become the most powerful navy in the world. In the future, it will definitely defeat the Germans. Qin Tian said solemnly. After becoming the Crown Prince, he has greater power to promote new equipment in the Navy. Submarines and aircraft carriers, these will become the focus of his promotion in the next stage. In this way, after the outbreak of the war, the German Navy will not only have a powerful and advanced surface fleet, but also have a first-class underwater submarine force and aviation force. This will give the German Navy a greater chance of winning in future wars. Your Highness, I told you that you will definitely be able to do it. Marshal Earl Tirpitz nodded. He didn't think Qin Tian was talking nonsense. Qin Tian has been creating miracles all along. He believed that Qin Tian would be able to keep his word this time. Marshal Count Tirpitz left soon, but Qin Tian didn't go to bed for a long time. Although William II just appointed him as the current crown prince, the word generation will cause him great constraints. But Qin Tian was still very excited. He jumped from an ordinary prince to the acting crown prince with the right to inherit the throne. Once Wilhelm II died, he could immediately succeed to the throne and become Emperor of Germany. As for Crown Prince William, who has become a vegetative state, it is not so easy to wake up. After all, the awakening of a vegetative person can be called a medical miracle. Became the acting crown prince, which meant that the burden on Qin Tian's shoulders was even heavier. The fate of him and the German Empire has been tightly bound together. Whether it is for himself or for the German Empire, he needs to do his best so that he can win in future wars. Otherwise, not only Germany would have no future, but he himself would have no future. The next day, that is, December 27th, Kaiser Wilhelm II issued an edict in view of the serious injury of Crown Prince William, who was unable to perform the duties of Crown Prince, and appointed Qin Tian as the acting Crown Prince of the German Empire. Although it is only acting Crown Prince, but in the upper class of Germany, it still caused an uproar. Those lower class people don't care much about it. What they care about is how to fill their stomachs. As for who will be the crown prince, it has nothing to do with them. Even, there are quite a few low-level people who support Qin Tian to become the crown prince. Over the years, Deutsche Welfare Lottery has been committed to social welfare and improving people's livelihood, which has benefited many people. In this regard, they are naturally willing to support Qin Tian. In the upper class, there are many people who think that Qin Tian is suitable to become the crown prince of the empire. After all, Qin Tian's outstanding talent cannot be questioned. Another group of people are opposed. They cling to the law of succession to the throne and believe that the appointment of William II is illegal. It's just that William II strongly promoted this order, and those people's objections were ignored. Inside the royal family, opposition voices have always existed. The happiest jumping around were undoubtedly Qin Tian's other three older brothers. In particular, Prince Ethel Friedrich, who was the second prince, strongly opposed Qin Tian being crown prince. After Crown Prince William's accident, he was eagerly waiting for his successor to become crown prince. But he didn't expect that he would be cut off by Qin Tian, which naturally made him unacceptable. It's just that these princes had to be honest after being severely reprimanded by William II. And Qin Tian officially became the crown prince of the German Empire. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82, Triple Entente. Qin Tian succeeded as the acting crown prince of the German Empire, which also caused quite a stir internationally. After all, Germany is one of the most powerful countries in the world, and the change of Germany's heir to the throne is undoubtedly worthy of attention for other countries. Many countries will even adjust their strategies towards Germany because of this, so that they can deal with it calmly in future international exchanges. Compared to Crown Prince William, Qin Tian has never been reused before. However, Qin Tian's talent in business has made people have to face it squarely. Now, Qin Tian has become the crown prince of Germany, which makes them have to pay more attention to Qin Tian. After all, as the crown prince, Qin Tian has a huge voice and influence in the country's internal and external affairs. Britain, Downing Street Prime Minister's office, British Prime Minister Sir Henry Campbell Bannerman, Chancellor of the Exchequer Herbert Henry Asquith and Foreign Minister Sir Edward Grey are talking about Qin Tian's becoming the crown prince of Germany. Gentlemen, Germany has changed its crown prince. Is this a good thing or a bad thing for us? Sir Bannerman asked. Your Excellency, I have to admit that Crown Prince William is probably the saddest person in the world. He fell off his horse at such a juncture and fell into a vegetable state. However, compared to Crown Prince William, the newly appointed Crown Prince Oscar is obviously more difficult to deal with. Crown Prince William is a man of great ambition and talent, but Crown Prince Oscar is different. His business operations are classic. If he is equally good at politics, then we will face a very difficult opponent, said Asquith. Sir Bannerman nodded. As Germany's old opponent, they spared no effort in collecting intelligence from Germany. Naturally, he also knows the high-level people in Germany very well. Judging from the information they have now, Qin Tian is obviously more difficult to deal with than Crown Prince William. Your Excellency, the contradiction between us and the Germans is getting bigger and bigger. I can even assert that war will be inevitable. In order to ensure the interests of the British Empire, the only thing we can do is to prepare for war, to crush the Germans in the middle of the war, and crush their ambitions to replace us, said Sir Edward Grey. Although, Sir Binavon also knew this. However, he also knows that once a war breaks out, unless they can win the war in the shortest possible time, otherwise, there will be no winners in this war. The loser will lose everything, but the winner will also deplete the wealth of the country, and the future will be difficult. Therefore, no matter how you look at it, this is a lose-lose result. Is it possible to influence Germany's foreign policy through Germany's newly appointed crown prince? For example, let the Germans give up challenging us. For this, we can even pay certain benefits. In this case, it is the best for us. A good result, said Sir Binavon. Asquith and Sir Edward Grey couldn't help shaking their heads. They both thought that Sir Binavon's idea was too naive. Your Excellency Prime Minister, this is almost impossible. Unless God can come. Otherwise, it is impossible to make the Germans bow their heads. Over the years, the Germans have been working hard to prepare to challenge us. Since they spared no effort, it can be seen from the development of the Navy. As long as the Germans do not give up their extravagant hope of challenging the British Empire, there will be no peace between us and them. Sir Edward Grey said. Yes, Your Excellency Prime Minister. Until now, we must recognize reality and give up illusions. There is only one war between us and the Germans. Only by defeating the Germans can our colonial system be stabilized, and the hegemony of the British Empire will also be. Only then can it be maintained for a long time. Asquith said. Prime Minister Binavon nodded helplessly, even though he believed that there would be no winners in the war. But judging from the current situation, everyone regards war as the only way to solve the current dispute. They all want to defeat their opponents in the war, so as to completely solve their opponents once and for all. Hey. Now that the matter has come to this point, let's make all the preparations as possible. Once the war starts, the British Empire must win. And it must be won at the lowest cost. Otherwise, the hegemony of the British Empire will be extremely difficult. It may end because of this. Such a result is absolutely not acceptable to us. We cannot become sinners of the British Empire because of this. Sir Binavon said. Yes, Your Excellency the Prime Minister. Both Asquith and Sir Edward Grey silently repeatedly. Your Excellency Prime Minister, we are stepping up liaison with the Russians. If we can reach an agreement with the Russians, then our encirclement circle against the Germans and their allies will be formally formed. This will give us greater control in the war odds. Sir Edward Grey smiled. Using the power of other countries to besiege the strongest country on the European continent has always been the usual strategy of the British, and they are also good at it. For hundreds of years, they have played with great proficiency. This was the case with the previous French Empire, which was besieged by the British with a group of countries. And now, it was the turn of the German Empire again. Very well, we can properly give some benefits to the Russians. Everything is to defeat the Germans as the first goal. As long as the Germans are defeated, everything else is not a problem. Sir Binavon said. Yes, Your Excellency the Prime Minister. Sir Edward Grey nodded. In January 1907, after Qin Tian became the Crown Prince of the German Empire, the Nassau-class battleship built by the German shipyard began to be fitted out, which was regarded as a congratulatory gift for his succession. 2 months later, the German Navy's second-level dreadnought ship, the Wittelsbach-class battleship, started construction in 5 shipyards. In June, the Blücher-class battlecruiser that Deutschland shipyard started to build was launched and outfitted, which made the strength of the German Navy begin to leap. While the strength of the German Navy continued to improve, the British did not sit idle. They actively carried out the siege of Germany and achieved remarkable results. On August 31, 1907, Russian Foreign Minister Izvolsky and British Ambassador to Russia Nicholson signed an agreement to divide the colony in Petersburg. In this way, the dispute between Britain and Russia on the colonial issue was resolved, allowing the two countries to put aside their conflicts and come together to deal with Germany. The Triple Entente was formally formed. Chapter 83. Watch out for Italians. Britain, France, and Russia formed the Entente, although the only real military alliance was the Franco-Russian alliance formed between France and Russia. However, it is foreseeable that once the war breaks out, the British will definitely not sit idly by. Once France and Russia are defeated by the Allies, the British will not be able to survive alone. At that time, they can only compromise with the Allies, or they may be destroyed. So, once the war breaks out, it will evolve into a large-scale war between the Allied powers and the Allied powers, which seems to be irreversible. A large-scale war seems to be brewing. The end of peace seems to be getting closer. The establishment of the Allied powers also formed two opposing military and political groups in the world, making the situation in Europe and the entire world even more turbulent. As the leader of the Allied powers, Germany naturally bears the brunt of the impact on the establishment of the Allied powers. Everyone knows that the war seems to be one step closer to them. William II held an emergency meeting in the Imperial Palace. The military and political officials of the empire, as well as Qin Tian, who had become the crown prince of the empire, all attended this meeting. As soon as he walked into William II's office, Qin Tian felt a dignified atmosphere. All the ministers had worried expressions on their faces. Everyone has some concerns about the current international situation. After everyone is here, the imperial meeting officially begins. William II glanced at everyone, and then said, "Gentlemen, the British and the Russians have already hooked up. In addition to the previous agreement between the British and the French, as well as the fact that France and the Russians, which belong to the military alliance Russia, this has led to the formation of a military alliance between Britain, France, and Russia, a military alliance aimed at the empire. The current international situation has become more and more dangerous to the empire. What should the empire do to respond to the pressure of the enemy?" Even though William II was stubborn and conceited, but this time, he also felt tremendous pressure. He has always had a slight illusion about the British, that is, even if there is a war, the British will not be involved in the war. But now it seems that as the British are getting closer and closer to France and Russia, the illusion in his heart has gradually been thrown away. After all, the British were about to put bayonets on his chest. Wouldn't he be too stupid if he continued to have illusions? Your Majesty, the alliance of Britain, France, and Russia is something we have long expected. Although, this makes the international environment of the empire even worse. However, the empire has been making preparations for this. As long as the empire continues to grow stronger, if we continue, we may not lose. Little Moki spoke first. Even though Qin Tian has been the crown prince for more than half a year, he still has no chance to touch Maoki. At least, under the circumstances, that he could still gain the trust of William II. The position of Chief of General Staff, Little Maoki, was still as stable as Mount Tay. William II nodded, and then looked at the other ministers. Your Majesty, the alliance of Britain, France, and Russia not only poses a major threat to the empire, but also poses a huge threat to the Austro-Hungarian Empire and the Kingdom of Italy. I think that under the threat of the alliance of Britain, France, and Russia, the country will be united more closely, and this, perhaps, is a good thing," Prime Minister Bernhard von Gillow said. Although the Triple Alliance has been established for more than 20 years, there are conflicts among the three member states. In particular, the contradiction between the Austro-Hungarian Empire and the Kingdom of Italy made this military alliance exist in name only, and there was not much centripetal force at all. If the three member states can unite, even if they are not as good as Britain, France, and Russia, the gap is quite limited. If there is a fight, the outcome will be very difficult to say. Further, I think we should be careful of the Kingdom of Italy. As we all know, the conflict between the Kingdom of Italy and the Austro-Hungarian Empire is very sharp. Although, the empire has been working hard to reconcile. However, if Britain, France, and Russia offer Italy more, if the conditions are good, the Italians will definitely betray us. Therefore, we have to guard against this, so as not to be stabbed in the back by the Italians when the war breaks out. Qin Tian reminded. As a latecomer, he certainly knew how the Italians performed in World War I in another time and space. After the outbreak of World War I, The Italians tried every means to delay, refused to fulfill the obligations of the alliance, and had a good time between the Allies and the Entente, waiting for the Allies and Entente to make an offer. In the end, the Allies seemed to have more to offer Italy. Therefore, the Italians immediately betrayed the Allies without hesitation, fell to the Allies, and went to war against Germany and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It's just that the performance of the Italians in the war was really bad. Hundreds of thousands of people attacked the Austro-Hungarian Empire, although they won the initial victory. However, after Germany sent a part of the army to assist the Austro-Hungarian Empire, they were quickly blocked at the border, unable to advance a single step, and were even beaten by Germany and the Austro-Hungarian Empire with less victory and more defeat. So, during the war, Italy was basically a pig teammate, who specially cheated his teammates. His Royal Highness, we have signed a covenant with the Italians. The covenant is sacred. The Italians should not easily tear up the covenant, right? Foreign Minister von Kidron-Wascht asked. The covenant is indeed sacred. However, there have never been true friends between countries, and some only have eternal interests. We and the Italians formed an alliance because of common interests. Once the Allies give, the benefits are greater than what we offered, and the Italians will definitely betray us. I have no doubts about this, Qin Tian said with a look of affirmation. His Royal Highness is right. There are no permanent friends between countries, only permanent interests. Earl Tirpitz and Marshal Tirpitz agreed. Even William II nodded. What's more repeatedly, everyone. I have also heard a saying that the biggest function of a covenant is to tear it up. It is almost impossible to rely on a covenant to bind the Allies. Interests can only rely on eternal interests. Only then can the Allies be united. There are common interests between the Empire and the Austro-Hungarian Empire, so the Austro-Hungarian Empire has always followed the lead of the Empire. But the Kingdom of Italy? Unfortunately, I really can't see this. On the contrary, however, in the North African colonies, the Italians have a tacit understanding with Britain, France, and Russia. But in the Adriatic Sea, the conflict with the Austro-Hungarian Empire is very obvious. Qin Tian continued. Chapter 84. Prepare for battle with all your strength. Your Highness the Crown Prince doubts our allies, based on his own personal conjectures. Isn't that a bit too arbitrary? At least for now, the Kingdom of Italy is still an ally of the Empire, and has not revealed any violation of the covenant. Therefore, doubting our allies like this allies are wrong. If the news gets out, who would dare to form an alliance with the Empire in the future? Little Maoka's voice sounded. After the last Lichu incident, the direct conflict between Xiao Maoki and Qin Tian has become public. Although, both of them showed restraint. But in every imperial meeting, there will almost always be tit-for-tat remarks. Of course, most of the time it was Xiao Maoki who was deliberately finding fault, but almost every time he was made ashamed, and couldn't get down. If it wasn't for William II still trusting him, the position of Chief of Staff might have been replaced long ago. Of course, William II may also be looking for an enemy for Qin Tian, to prevent Qin Tian from expanding too quickly in the political territory of the Empire. Now, Qin Tian has obtained the full support of the navy. If there was no little Maoki, the army would all fall to Qin Tian. In this case, even the Emperor William II would pose a considerable threat. And William II naturally didn't want to see this happen. Whether the Italians will betray us, no one can say for sure, and no one is sure. But, at least I think this possibility is very high. If we don't prepare early, once such a situation happens, for the Empire it will be a major threat. If we can prepare early, once the Italians really betray us, we will not be messed up. Of course, if our guesses proved wrong in the end, for the Empire it won't do too much harm. Qin Tian explained calmly, as if he wasn't angry, because of Xiao Maoki's questioning. Other ministers, including William II, nodded repeatedly after hearing Qin Tian's words. It is undoubtedly necessary to take precautions in advance. Little Moltke wanted to continue to refute, but was stopped by William II. Okay, let's deal with this issue according to Oscar's opinion. We still have to do our best to fight for the Kingdom of Italy. After all, Italy is also a first-class power. If it can fulfill the covenant, it will be a huge benefit to the Empire. Help. At the same time, we must be prepared. Once the Italians really betray us, they cannot be caught off guard. William II finally decided, after all, it is very necessary for Germany to be prepared. Even if the Kingdom of Italy is wrongly blamed, it will not have any impact on Germany. Yes, Your Majesty. All the ministers replied. Your Majesty, if the worst scenario, that His Royal Highness the Crown Prince said really happens, then the situation of the empire will be even more difficult. I'm afraid it will be difficult for us, and the Austro-Hungarian Empire, to resist the siege of Britain, France, Russia and the Kingdom of Italy. In particular, although the Austro-Hungarian Empire can be regarded as a big country, its national strength is limited, and its military power is even weaker. During the war, the help it can provide to the empire may be very limited. In this case, the empire will be under tremendous pressure, Prime Minister Bernhard von Gillow said with a serious face. William II's expression also became dignified. If that's the case, wouldn't it become a challenge to all European powers with the strength of Germany alone? No matter how arrogant William II was, he would not dare to boast of such a sea. Do you have any suggestions for this? William II asked. Your Majesty, since the situation is so unfavorable to us, can we find a way to avoid the outbreak of war? Von Kidron-Wacht suggested. Since there is no chance of winning the fight, let's not fight at all. In this way, the strength of the country can be preserved as much as possible. William II shook his head. The current situation is no longer decided by the empire. This war is already imminent and has to be waged. Even if the empire wants to avoid war, Britain, France, Russia and other countries will agree. Of course, unless the empire agrees to the humiliating conditions they proposed, give up competing with them for hegemony, and give up challenging them. This is absolutely impossible for the empire to accept. The Germans would rather die in battle than live stealthily. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the office became more dignified. Everyone can feel that a huge pressure is coming. For the current German Empire, there is no way out. Either fight desperately, even if the chances of winning are not great, or just submit. However, it is obviously impossible for them to choose to submit. Therefore, there are only two paths left. Oscar, what do you think about this? William II asked. Father, the current situation is indeed very unfavorable to us. However, if we can prepare as much as possible for this war, we may not have no chance of winning. The military power of the empire, at least no country can fight against the empire alone. Only by uniting, can we fight against the empire. Therefore, if we prepare for the battle with all our strength from now on, we will definitely have a chance of winning. Qin Tian said. That's right, His Royal Highness is right. It's not the most pessimistic moment yet. Although our enemies are strong, our strength is definitely not weak. As long as we can, the army and navy are ready. Once we can defeat the enemy on the battlefield, and we still have a chance of victory, said Wilhelm II. As the Emperor of the Empire, he certainly cannot be discouraged. If even he, the Emperor, gave up hope, then this battle would probably end before it even started. The Imperial Navy has been making full preparations for battle. Our Nassau-class battleship will soon be completed. The outfitting of the Blücher-class battlecruiser has also begun, and it is expected to be ready in the middle of next year. Completed. And our Helgoland-class battleships have also started construction. These are more powerful main battleships than the British battleships. As long as we can continuously equip more new battleships, we will definitely not be inferior to the British Navy. In future decisive battles, as long as we can defeat the British Navy, the Empire will not be easily defeated. Marshal Earl Tirpitz is full of confidence in the future war. The combat power of the Imperial Army has always been the best in the world. Even if Britain, France, and Russia unite, they can't even try to defeat us. Minister of War von Falkenhayn looked proud. Chapter 85, British Shock. William II had a gratified smile on his face. Yes, although the enemies of the German Empire are very powerful, they have the most powerful army in the world and a navy that is undergoing rapid development. Even in the face of many powerful countries, future wars, they are not without chance of winning. Everyone can have confidence. That is naturally the best. I believe that God will bless the Germanic nation. In future wars, even if we face the siege of many powerful countries, we will be the ones who will win in the end. Yes, said William II. Qin Tian looked at everyone's performance and nodded secretly. Because of his efforts, the German Navy has embarked on a completely different development path. The capital ship, which is more powerful than the capital ship of the British Navy, is being launched and built rapidly. This will give the German Navy the chance to catch up and even overtake the British Navy. Even in terms of numbers, it may not be the opponent of the British Navy. However, the performance of a single ship can definitely crush the British Navy. In this case, once a future war breaks out, the German Navy still has a good chance of winning. If the German Navy can defeat the British Navy and win the decisive battle at sea. So, will Germany be dragged to death by the Allied powers like in history? I'm afraid that such history will not repeat itself. As long as it can continuously obtain various materials needed for the war through overseas trade, Germany will be able to continue the war. Even if it ends up hurting both sides, it's better than losing. Besides, Qin Tian is working hard to save enough war materials for Germany before the outbreak of the war, so that Germany will not be in trouble in these aspects. Coupled with Qin Tian's plan to arm Germany with various new weapons to further enhance Germany's military strength, Germany will have a greater chance of winning in future wars. It would be great if Germany could defeat the British Navy at the beginning of the war, while at the same time inflicting heavy losses on the French on land. In that case, Germany would be able to spend a lot of money on Britain and France in a short period of time, and the rest of Russia and France-Italy is nothing to worry about. Qin Tian thought secretly. To change the fate of Germany's defeat in the First World War and win the war for Germany, this is Qin Tian's goal. He has been working hard for this all the time. Although, it is very difficult to achieve this goal. However, at least they are getting closer to this goal step by step. Qin Tian believed that, as long as all his plans were successful before the war broke out, then Germany would definitely win the war in the future. Everyone, in the face of the alliance of Britain, France, and Russia, the empire is powerless to stop it. The only thing we can do is to prepare for war and further strengthen our military power so that we can defeat our enemies with strong military power after the war breaks out. To win the war, I believe that, as long as we are united and work hard to achieve all this, future victories must belong to us. William II said confidently. Victory belongs to the German Empire, and the empire must win. The ministers are full of confidence in the future. Deutsche Shipyard. Although this shipyard has not been a large shipyard in the empire for a long time. However, it undertook the construction of most of the capital ships of the Imperial Navy. 4 Nassau-class battleships, the lead ship of the Helgoland-class battleship Helgoland, and 3 Blücher-class battle cruisers. Among them, 4 Nassau-class battleships and 3 Blücher-class battle cruisers have already begun to launch into the water for outfitting. The Nassau-class battleship with the fastest construction progress is expected to be completed by the end of this year and delivered to the German Navy. By then, the German Navy will also enter the era of dreadnoughts. And Qin Tian is also preparing to start the construction of the capital ship of the next level after these berths are vacated and the workers are free. After the Blücher-class battle cruiser, the German Navy needs to have a more powerful battle cruiser. And a new class of capital ships after the Helgoland-class battleships. These battleships, which are constantly under construction and launched into service, will become the backbone of the German Navy and a strong guarantee for the German Navy to defeat the British Navy. The British Navy is also very concerned about the German Navy's shipbuilding plan. As early as the pre-dreadnought era, the German Navy started building a large number of battleships, which put great pressure on the British Navy. Although, the number of capital ships of the British Navy still has an absolute advantage. But no one can guarantee that as the German Navy builds capital ships faster and faster, it will quickly surpass the British Navy. Fortunately, the service of the British Navy's dreadnought made those old dreadnoughts all obsolete overnight. The advantage of the British Navy not only has not been reduced, but has begun to expand. It seems that the British Navy is once again ahead of the navies of all countries in the world, leading the development trend of the Navy. Just when the British thought they could sit back and relax, the German Navy was still catching up. Moreover, on the new capital ship, it will continue to compete with the British Navy. Although the German Navy has not yet completed a new battleship, there are quite a few battleships under construction. Once it is put into service in batches, it will inevitably pose a greater threat to the British Navy. In September 1907, a piece of intelligence was placed on the desk of Sir John Fisher, the Secretary of the Navy of the United Kingdom, with several photos attached to the intelligence. It can be clearly seen that there are several huge battleships undergoing outfitting, and even the main guns have been installed. Is this the new German battleship? The displacement is larger than that of the Imperial Navy's battleship. The caliber of the main gun is also 305mm. The 3 triple-mounted main guns are deployed along the central axis, which is undoubtedly a pioneering work. This layout seems to be better than the layout of the capital ships of the British Empire Navy. Could it be that they have solved the problem of the accuracy of the triple-mounted main guns? It is hard to imagine that such a design was actually made by the Germans. More importantly, it seems that their new capital ship will be completed and put into service soon. Sir John Fisher was shocked and sighed. As the head of the Royal Navy of the British Empire and the initiator of the Dreadnought project, he is undoubtedly the person who leads the development of the World Navy. But now, he is still shocked by the German Navy. Come on, prepare the car. I'm going to the Prime Minister's office immediately. Sir John Fisher ordered. Chapter 86, Crisis in the Royal Navy. Your Excellency, this is the information our intelligence personnel risked their lives to obtain. For this reason, we even lost 2 very outstanding intelligence personnel. Sir John Fisher, the British Secretary of the Navy, put the information on the British Prime Minister Sir Binavon's desk. Sir Binavon put on his glasses and carefully looked at the information that the intelligence officers had exchanged their lives for. When he saw those photos, the expression on his face became serious. Sir Fisher, is this the new capital ship of the German Navy? Sir Binavon asked. Yes, Your Excellency Prime Minister. This should be the German Dreadnought ship. And, it looks like it should be completed soon. According to my experience, these battleships are already preparing for outfitting. It is estimated that by the end of this year able to serve. Sir John Fisher looked serious. How is this possible? How can the Germans build faster than us? When we were building new battleships, we only started to build one. But they started so many ships in one go. Aren't they afraid that this will be a trap set by us? Sir Binavon looked shocked. Britain only built one battleship Dreadnought at the beginning, and later began large-scale batch construction. Even so, the construction of the British Navy's Bellerophon-class battleship only started last year. If it is expected to enter service, it will have to wait until 1909. The follow-up St. Vincent-class battleship has not started at all. This also means that once the new battleships of the German Navy enter service, the British Navy will be at a disadvantage in terms of the number of new battleships. And this is a completely unacceptable result for the Royal Navy of the British Empire. In order to maintain the maritime hegemony of the British Empire and the world colonial system, they must ensure that they have the most powerful navy in the world. Your Excellency, it is hard to believe that the Germans will make such a determination. However, the facts are now in front of us. That is, the British Empire is already at a disadvantage in the competition for new capital ships. Sir John Fisher said with bitterness. What about the performance of the battleship? Can the performance of the German battleship be compared with our battleship? Sir Binavon had a look of expectation in his eyes, as if he didn't believe that the Royal Navy of the British Empire would be defeated. Sir John Fisher hesitated for a moment, and then said, because there is no specific data on the battleships of the German Navy, it is still difficult to evaluate their specific performance. However, the only thing that is certain is that the German battleships have more. The larger displacement of our battleships allows their battleships to have thicker armor and surpass us in terms of defense. However, this also makes their battleships inferior to ours in terms of speed. As for firepower, we have 5 twin-mounted 305mm main guns, while the Germans use 3 triple-mounted main guns. Although I don't know if the Germans have solved the problem of triple-mounted main guns. However, in terms of firepower, we should not will be inferior to them. Sir John Fisher, this is only by virtue of their own guesses. This made him make mistakes in his judgment. The Nassau-class capital ships of the German Navy did not have a lower speed than the British Navy's capital ships because of their larger displacement. On the contrary, after adopting oil-fired boilers and steam turbines, the Nassau-class battleships have a faster speed. In terms of speed, it is not inferior to the battleships of the British Navy at all, and even has a certain advantage. In terms of firepower, all 3 triple-mounted main guns can fire to one side, which is one more than the British Navy can fire with up to 4 double-mounted 305mm guns. At the same time, the 50 caliber main gun used by the capital ships of the German Navy obviously has a stronger armor-piercing capability than the 45 caliber main gun of the British Navy. Once the war starts, if the capital ships of the two sides encounter each other in the naval battle, the British Navy will know that the main guns of the German Navy's capital ships are powerful. Sir Glenarvan's complexion couldn't help but become even uglier. It seems that from now on, the Royal Navy is in a great crisis. We must treat it with caution. Otherwise, the Royal Navy will face a disaster. Sir Glenarvan said. Yes, Your Excellency Prime Minister, I completely agree with your point of view. Moreover, the situation may be more serious than we expected. The German capital ship is far more than that. In addition to those few battleships, our intelligence personnel also found the other 3 battleships being outfitted. Although the progress is behind the other battleships, but our intelligence personnel believe that the 3 battleships being outfitted should be battle cruisers, and our Invincible a battleship like a battle cruiser. The despicable Germans probably want to use this kind of battleship to attack our sea transportation line. This is undoubtedly an extremely sinister intention, Sir John Fisher said through gritted teeth. The reason why Sir John Fisher advocated the construction of battle cruisers in the Royal Navy was that he hoped that this new type of warship could be comparable to cruisers in speed and not inferior to battleships in firepower and could protect Britain's sea transportation lines. Originally, this was just a preventive plan, but I didn't expect it, but it really came in handy. Damn the Germans, they are indeed too despicable. Sir Glenarvan turned pale. He deeply knows that as an island country, once the sea transportation line is hit, what it means to the British Empire. Yes, Your Excellency Prime Minister, fortunately we have also built battle cruisers. Otherwise, we really have no way to deal with the German battle cruisers. Sir John Fisher also expressed his gratitude. Can our Invincible class battle cruisers be able to deal with German battle cruisers? Sir Glenarvan asked. Your Excellency Prime Minister, this may be difficult. It can be seen from the photos that the German battle cruisers are larger than our Invincible battle cruisers. The larger displacement makes they have greater defense. In terms of speed, it may not be as good as ours, but it must not be underestimated. More importantly, the German battle cruisers are about to be completed, and our Invincible battle cruisers may have to wait until the end of next year or the beginning of the next year. It can be done, said Sir John Fisher. In other words, the Royal Navy of the British Empire is behind the Germans in terms of battleships and battle cruisers. Sir Glenarvan exclaimed. Chapter 87, Britain will not lose. Gentlemen, the British Empire is now in a crisis of life and death. Our main enemy Germany, in terms of navy, has achieved a comprehensive advantage over the Royal Navy of the British Empire. This will be fatal to us. Now, we must come up with practical measures to help the Royal Navy of the British Empire reverse the situation. Once war breaks out, and the Royal Navy cannot defeat the German Navy in the war, it will be a disaster for the British Empire. Banner Sir Wen said to all the cabinet members. The ministers of the British cabinet all had serious expressions on their faces. They have also obtained relevant information and know the crisis that the Royal Navy is currently facing. They believed that Sir Glenarvan was not exaggerating at all. This time the German Navy challenged the Royal Navy, and the crisis caused to the Royal Navy is absolutely unprecedented. How did the German Navy develop so quickly? It's like a big step forward. You know, in the pre-dreadnought era, although they started to catch up, they have been suppressed by us. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, Asquith, also looked very bad. He knows that under such circumstances, it is inevitable to add funds to the Navy, so that the Navy can build more warships, and ensure that the Royal Navy has an advantage in the competition. However, the financial pressure on the UK is also great now. If more military expenditures are provided to the Navy, it will inevitably cause further expansion of the fiscal deficit. No one knows this. However, those German capital ships that are being outfitted and are about to be completed cannot be fooled. Faced with the aggressive pressure of the Germans, we have no other choice. We must start building more capital ships to suppress the German challenge to us, said Sir John Fisher. Everyone, do you have any objections to Sir Fisher's request? Sir Binavin looked at the ministers. On this issue, naturally no ministers would raise objections. After all, this is a matter of life and death for the British Empire. The Navy is the foundation of the British Empire. Without a powerful navy, the collapse of the British Empire is imminent. Therefore, even if they are throwing pots and selling iron, they must ensure the advantage of the navy. This is a matter of principle, and absolutely no problems are allowed. Very well, since everyone has no objection, then the Ministry of Finance should prepare a special appropriation for the navy. Sir Binavin said. Okay, Your Excellency the Prime Minister. But what about the Parliament? Asquith asked. Britain is a country with a constitutional monarchy. Although the power of the Prime Minister is great, it is not unrestricted. Many decisions need to be supervised by the Parliament. Especially in terms of financial appropriation, it is necessary to obtain the consent of the Parliament. As for the Parliament, I will communicate with them. I believe that at the moment, when the British Empire is facing a crisis of life and death, no one will hold back, Sir Binavin said. Subsequently, Sir Binavin looked at Sir John Fisher. Sir Fisher, the Cabinet will fully support the Navy in terms of funds. However, the Royal Navy must ensure its advantage over the Germans. Only in this way will our interests not be harmed. Sir Binavin said. Your Excellency, please rest assured that the Navy already has a specific plan. I will ask the shipyard to speed up the construction progress of the Belleau-Feng class battleship and the Invincible class battlecruiser. In addition, the St. Vincent class battleship and the Indefatigable class battlecruiser will also start construction as soon as possible to ensure that we continue to have an advantage in terms of dreadnoughts, Sir Fisher said. Your Excellency, will the Royal Navy's superiority be ensured by building these occupations? According to the Navy's shipbuilding plan we have seen, all of these warships have been completed, and there are only 13 of them, and the known German navies is about to be completed. There are 7 new battleships. I believe that there must be many newer battleships under construction in their shipyards. Sir Edward Grey, the Foreign Secretary, said. Any fool knows that first-class battleships will not be built too many ships. Now that the German Navy's new battleship is about to be completed, it is certain that construction of a newer battleship is about to start, or has already started. The question raised by His Excellency the Foreign Secretary is very good. According to the usual practice, it is indeed the case. We also guess that the Germans are building newer warships in their shipyards, which deserves our vigilance. The newer warships of the Royal Navy, the battleship is under design. However, now we have encountered a technical bottleneck. The development of our 13-inch main gun is not progressing smoothly. Therefore, it has been delayed to start construction. Sir Fisher said. The British Navy has always pursued the speed and firepower of warships, and despised defense. The most effective way to enhance the firepower of a warship is undoubtedly to use a large caliber main gun. After moving the new 305mm main gun to the Dreadnought, the British Navy began research on a larger caliber main gun. However, the development of large caliber main guns is not so easy. Many technical difficulties need to be overcome. Therefore, so far, the Royal Navy has not succeeded in the new 343mm main gun. Will the Germans come ahead of us in this regard? Sir Binavin was worried about this. It's unlikely, but it's not certain. After all, the Germans' artillery technology is no worse than ours. If they invest a lot of money in research and development, they may be able to develop a large caliber main gun before us. Faye said Sir Shear. No matter what, the Royal Navy can no longer lag behind the Germans. Sir Fisher, you need to find a way to ensure the advantage of the Royal Navy. Sir Binavin made a request. Now, he only cares about the result and doesn't care about the process at all. Yes, Your Excellency Prime Minister. We will speed up the development of large caliber main guns. And, before the large caliber main guns are put into use, we will build 1 or 2 more battleships to ensure that we have an absolute advantage in numbers. John Fisher said Sir Al. Anyway, Britain does not need to invest huge sums of money to build an overly powerful army, which allows them to concentrate their financial resources on building a navy. After receiving the support of the cabinet, the Royal Navy will not lack funds for shipbuilding. They only need to place an order with the shipyard according to the shipbuilding plan. Soon, new battleships will join the Royal Navy one after another, allowing the Royal Navy to regain its advantage in the competition. Sir Benavan and others believe that in the naval competition, the Royal Navy will never lose. Chapter 88, Naval Arms Race. Gentlemen, I have received the authorization from the cabinet. Now that the Germans have overtaken us in terms of new battleships, the Royal Navy must speed up the construction of new battleships, catch up and regain the advantage over the German Navy. At the naval conference, Sir John Fisher was in high spirits. The full support of the cabinet made him no longer have to worry about the shortage of military expenditures. Huge financial allocations allowed the Royal Navy to quickly build the battleships they wanted. Your Excellency, although we can speed up the construction of warships. However, the 343mm main gun has not yet made breakthrough progress. Therefore, the construction of the next level battleship may still be unable to start. A British admiral said, "It doesn't matter, we can complete the design first. I believe that the arsenal will soon be able to make a breakthrough. The technological accumulation and heritage of the British Empire will not be inferior to the Germans." John. Sir Fisher is full of confidence in his own technological level. Yes, the current British Empire is not the United Kingdom that clings to the thigh of the American Emperor in later generations, but a superpower that dominates the world. Their technological level is also ahead of the world. In the eyes of these European powers, the current US Emperor is nothing more than a sudden rise of Navorish. Although the industrial strength is very strong, but there is no technical content. In terms of high technology, especially military technology, there is undoubtedly a big gap compared with European powers. Yes, sir. The Admiral nodded. Your Excellency, if the Bellerophon-class battleship speeds up, it is expected to be completed by the middle of next year. Can the next level St. Vincent-class battleship be built now? A Navy department is in charge of shipbuilding asked the official point. Sir John Fisher hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Let's start the construction of the St. Vincent-class battleship immediately. Once the design of the follow-up battleship is completed, the construction will start immediately. Now, we need the fastest speed to enrich the Royal Navy and strive to have a powerful fleet composed of dreadnoughts in the shortest possible time. Although, Sir John Fisher can judge from the information obtained that the new battleships that the German Navy is about to serve are stronger than their dreadnought battleships, and even the Bellerophon-class battleships under construction cannot keep up. Even the follow-up St. Vincent-class battleship is probably not its opponent. But now the Royal Navy has no other choice. Under the constraints of technical bottlenecks, it is almost impossible for them to launch a more powerful new battleship. Only those battleships that made minor improvements to the battleship dreadnought could be built. Strive to form an overwhelming advantage over the German Navy in terms of the number of new battleships. In this case, the Royal Navy can also gain an advantage in naval competitions. This also allowed the British Navy to build 4 classes of 9 battleships in a row on the basis of the battleship dreadnought, namely 3 Bellerophon-class battleships, 3 St. Vincent-class battleships, and 1 Neptune-class battleship, and 2 Giant-class battleships. Adding the 3 Invincible-class battlecruisers and 3 Indefatigable-class battlecruisers, the Royal Navy has a total of 15 new capital ships. Of course, these are battleships with a displacement of about 20,000 tons, and equipped with 305mm main guns. Compared with the battleships with strong defenses of the German Navy, these battleships of the British Navy are undoubtedly capital ships with thin skin and big stuffing. Once a war starts, it will be very common to be blown up in a naval battle. When the British Navy accelerated the construction of new warships, other countries were also affected. Although, the current British Empire is still a well-deserved maritime hegemony, but other countries, more or less, have their own ideas about sea power. Although there is no way to compete with the British Empire, you must be able to protect your own overseas interests. Otherwise, how can the overseas colonies be kept? Therefore, all countries have also strengthened the construction of the navy one after another, and launched new battleships one after another. The United States on the other side of the ocean gave up the construction of the former dreadnought ship and began to build the dreadnought ship. However, because of the gap between technology and Europe, the US Navy chose a strategy of emphasizing firepower and defense and giving up the speed of the turtle warship. Moreover, only 2 capital ships of each level were built, trying to use small steps to make breakthroughs in new battleships. From the South Carolina-CLASS battleships to the subsequent Delaware-class battleships, Florida-class battleships, and Wyoming-class battleships, the US Navy will start building 2 new battleships every year. Starting from the later New York-CLASS battleships, the caliber of the main guns has been increased from 305mm to 356mm. It can be seen that the Americans have ambitions in sea power. After becoming the largest industrial country in the world, the ambitions of Americans have also increased. They hope to have a higher status on the international stage. It would be great if it could take advantage of the trend to replace Britain and become the world's hegemon. Of course, Americans also know that this is very difficult, so they are accumulating their own strength little by little, waiting for changes in the world pattern. France, as a traditional power in Europe, is also a naval power. Hundreds of years ago, it was even the main challenger of the British Empire's maritime supremacy. After countries have entered the era of dreadnoughts one after another, the French are naturally not far behind. Although, France's biggest enemy now is Germany from land. However, France, which has vast colonies overseas, still gritted its teeth and began to design their Danden-class battleships. Moreover, the construction of 6 battleships of this class started at one time. It's just that France always needs to put its main force on land to ensure that the army can withstand the German attack. Therefore, the investment in the ocean naturally cannot be compared with other countries. Although the French were not reconciled, they had no choice but to withdraw from the first echelon of sea power. Italy and Austria-Hungary, as members of the Allied powers, allies of Germany. When the Allied powers began to build dreadnoughts one after another, they were not far behind. The design of the battleship Dante equipped with 12 305mm main guns for the Italian Navy began. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was also not far behind and began designing a United Force class battleship equipped with 4 triple-mounted 305mm main guns. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89, Enlisted. November 18th, 1907, Deutsches Werft in Danzig. The entire factory area has been put under martial law. Even workers entering the factory area to work have to go through layers of inspections. Although, the procedure is a bit cumbersome. However, the workers don't care. They know that today is a very important day for Deutsche Shipyard. Today is a day when the lead ship of the Nassau-class battleship they built, the Nassau battleship, completed sea trials and was ready to be delivered to the Navy. It is also from this day that the German Navy will bid farewell to the days without dreadnoughts. The German Navy will officially enter the era of dreadnoughts. Kaiser Wilhelm II and Crown Prince Qin Tian will personally come from Berlin to attend the commissioning ceremony of the battleship Nassau. Minister of the Navy Marshal Earl Tirpitz, Chief of Naval Staff Marshal von Pohl, Commander of the High Seas Fleet Prince Heinrich, Naval Cabinet Chief General Mueller, and a group of experts from the Naval Technical Committee will all attend this event ceremony. Although, for these experts of the Naval Technical Committee, the service of the Nassau-class battleship is undoubtedly another slap in the face for them. However, they have nothing to do. Who made them blind in the first place? Even though his face was already swollen, he still had to take the initiative to move forward. Chief of General Staff Malky, Deputy Chief of General Staff General Waldsee, and Minister of War von Falkenhayn also attended this ceremony. Although, the commissioning of the battleship Nassau is a grand event for the Navy, but this is also of great benefit to strengthening the military power of the German Navy. Future wars will not only be won by the army alone. The power of the Navy cannot be ignored either. Even to some extent, it will play a decisive role. There is another reason, that is, both William II and Crown Prince Qin Tian attach great importance to the others, therefore, must give Navy the Navy face. Cheer up your spirits. You must not embarrass His Highness the Crown Prince. The security work must be done well, and there must be no problems at all. Otherwise, we will not be able to walk around. Proud work Shipyard Brat, the general manager, was very excited despite being very tired. He knew that this day was a very important day for Deutsche Shipyard, and it was also a day where problems could not arise. Otherwise, Qin Tian, who has become the Crown Prince, will have a bad face, and it will also be a blow to Deutschland Shipyard, which is on the rise. The other shipyards are very jealous that Deutsche Shipyard has won so many large orders. Yes, General Manager. The other shipyard staff also looked excited. Soon, everyone who participated in the ceremony arrived at the dock of the shipyard by car. The battleship Nassau, which has completed sea trials, is quietly moored there. The huge hull floats on the sea like a hill. It's really spectacular. Such a powerful warship is exactly what the German Empire Navy needs. I can't wait to watch this huge ship fight the British Navy on the sea. Wilhelm II stood at the pier going up, looking at the battleship Nassau in front of me. I couldn't help sighing. Your Majesty, once we have a decisive battle with the British, I guarantee that our warships will be able to gain an overwhelming advantage. At least from the current intelligence, whether the British have been built, or are under construction, or are even under construction, none of the battleships to be built are the opponents of our Nassau-class battleships. Not to mention, our Helgoland-class battleships are also under construction. In the competition of new battleships, we have defeated the British, and gained an advantage. Marshal Earl Tirpitz looked excited. As the head of the German Navy, there is probably nothing that makes him happier than watching powerful battleships enter service. Yes, we have surpassed the British. In the future, we will further surpass them, until they dare not be hostile to us. William II said excitedly. The battleship Nassau in front of him brought great confidence to William II, making him once again confident in building a powerful navy to make the British bow their heads so that they dare not intervene in the war on the European continent. It can be seen from this that William II still has a little fantasy about Britain in his heart. He hoped that the British could see the strength of Germany so that the British would voluntarily give up confrontation with Germany. However, such an idea is really naive. Whether it is Qin Tian or Earl Tirpitz Marshal, these words of William II are automatically filtered. They believed that it was impossible for the British to voluntarily give up their maritime hegemony. Therefore, the possibility of making the British bow their heads is almost zero. Facing the challenge of the German Navy, the only thing Britain can do is to strengthen the construction of the Navy as much as possible, and further maintain its advantage over the German Navy. Therefore, it is very difficult for the German Navy to really surpass the United Kingdom. Britain's heritage in shipbuilding is unmatched by other countries. They have a large number of shipyards and skilled workers, and can build a large number of battleships in a very short period of time. This is simply impossible for any country to do. The German Navy must be prepared to defeat the British Navy in naval battles in the event of a war in the future. And this is also the belief that Qin Tian and Marshal Earl Tirpitz have always upheld. As for forcing the British to bow their heads and win without a fight, this is a delusion they never had. The experts of the Naval Technical Committee looked at the huge Nassau-class battleship with shame and anger. When the Nassau-class battleship was undergoing sea trials, the Naval Technical Committee sent experts to board the ship to conduct inspections in person in order to find faults and save their face. However, although the Nassau-class battleship has some minor problems, these are not serious problems, and will not have any impact on the performance and combat effectiveness of the battleship. Therefore, the Naval Technical Committee finally had to admit that the Nassau-class battleship is indeed a very powerful battleship. At 10 a.m., the enlistment ceremony officially began. William II delivered a speech at the beginning of the ceremony. Gentlemen, welcome to the commissioning ceremony of the battleship Nassau. This is the first dreadnought ship of the German Imperial Navy, which symbolizes a new starting point for the German Navy. Chapter 90, Crazy Suggestion. William II's speech was very inspiring. At least, after everyone listened to his speech, everyone was full of confidence in the future of the German Navy and the German Empire. Although the enemy is still very strong, they believe that the future victory will definitely belong to the German Empire. Subsequently, Qin Tian, on behalf of the German shipyard, officially delivered the battleship Nassau to the German Navy. Marshal Count Tirpitz presented the flag of the battleship Nassau and appointed the first captain. From now on, the battleship Nassau has become the capital ship of the German Navy. Next, the people participating in the ceremony boarded the battleship Nassau through the gangway and visited this mighty battleship. For the vast majority of people, there is little opportunity to touch battleships, especially the Navy's most cutting-edge battleship. Everyone is very fresh about everything on the ship. In particular, the 3 huge triple-mounted 305mm main guns are even more amazing. Oscar, when will the other 3 Nassau-class battleships be available for service? William II asked. Father, the other 3 Nassau-class battleships are all undergoing sea trials, and they are expected to be commissioned by the end of this month, before Christmas at the latest. Qin Tian replied. He has always been very concerned about these capital ships built by the German shipyard. Very well, although the expansion time of the Deutsche shipyard was very short. However, the performance is very satisfactory to me. Even the construction efficiency of those large shipyards is estimated to be no more than this. William II nodded in satisfaction. Father, this is because we have the most hard-working workers in Germany and an excellent general manager. Qin Tian smiled. Of course, he knew in his heart that one of the reasons why Deutsche shipyard was able to perform so well was to dig a large number of technical backbones from other shipyards. Otherwise, how could the Deutsche shipyard, which has just completed its expansion, have such a high efficiency? Mr. Brutt, you are very good. The contribution you made to the German Empire will not be forgotten by the Empire. William II said to Brutt with a pleasant face. Your Majesty, this is what I should do. Brutt was so excited that he couldn't help himself. As an ordinary person, the Emperor's approval is undoubtedly an extremely noble honor for him. William II nodded and said nothing more. By the way, Oscar, where is our Blücher-class battlecruiser? When will it enter service? William II asked. He remembered that in addition to the Nassau-class battlecruiser, there was another battlecruiser, which was also a battlecruiser of the German Navy. Father, the construction progress of the Blücher-class battlecruiser is a bit slower, and it is estimated that it will not be able to complete sea trials and join the Navy until the middle of next year. Qin Tian explained. Your Majesty, this kind of construction progress is already very fast. By the middle of next year, we will have 4 Nassau-class battleships and 3 Blücher-class battlecruisers. These are the first-class capital ship. The strength of the German Navy will be raised to a higher level. Marshal Earl Tirpitz was very happy. What about our enemy, the British? How many dreadnoughts do they have by the middle of next year? William II asked. Your Majesty, according to the information we have received, the British Bellerophon-class battleship should be completed in the middle of next year. Their Invincible-class battlecruiser is estimated to be completed by then. After all, under the persecution of the British are already desperately speeding up the construction. Marshal Earl Tirpitz smiled. It is undoubtedly an honor for the German Navy to be able to force the world's #1 Royal Navy to frantically speed up shipbuilding, as if facing a formidable enemy. Are they all 4 battleships and 3 battlecruisers? William II frowned. Yes, Father. However, even if the number of new battleships on both sides is the same, our capital ships are completely capable of crushing British warships of the same level in terms of performance. The British have a deeper shipbuilding background than us, and under the influence of stronger financial resources, it is unrealistic for us to compete with the British in the number of capital ships. Therefore, we must be prepared to have fewer capital ships than the British. Qin Tian then he said. King William II nodded. Although he was a little bit unwilling, he knew that this was the reality. The British have a vast colony to collect wealth, and at the same time they don't need to spend money to build a powerful army, which allows them to concentrate their financial resources to develop the Navy. In this regard, Germany has always been unable to compare with the United Kingdom. Therefore, it is very difficult for the German Navy to challenge the British Navy. Your Majesty, although the British have more capital ships than us, they need global deployment. But we only need to, therefore, under certain circumstances, we defend our homeland will not be inferior to the British, said Marshal Count Tirpitz. Hearing the words of Marshal Earl Tirpitz, William II looked much better. Your Majesty, Your Royal Highness, since the Navy will be able to gain the upper hand in the middle of next year. So, if we go to war against the British in the middle of next year, will we be able to win? Xiao Maoqi interjected. War next year. Everyone was stunned. This is obviously an extremely crazy idea, Your Excellency, Chief of Staff. It is unrealistic to go to war next year. We are not ready at all. Besides, although we can have an advantage in the new capital ship, the British are still in the front of the dreadnought. It has an overwhelming advantage. There are more than 50 pre-dreadnought ships, and they are not vegetarians. Although the dreadnoughts are stronger than the former dreadnoughts, they can't be won against 10. Qin Tian shook his head. We still need to continue to accumulate strength and go to war when we are ready. William II also suppressed the madness in his heart. Little Maoqi shrugged and said nothing more. Next, everyone visited the Blücher-class battlecruiser and the Helgoland-class battleship that are under construction. After lunch, head to the meeting room of the shipyard. Today, besides inviting everyone to attend the commissioning ceremony of the battleship Nassau, Qin Tian also wants to sell the next level of capital ships to the Navy, especially the follow-up of the Blücher-class battlecruiser ship type, Moltke-class battlecruiser. Chapter 91, Moltke-class battlecruiser. Everyone, according to the information we have received, the British Navy has accelerated the preparations for the construction of the Street. If the first-class warships are in service, we will be at an absolute disadvantage in terms of numbers. Qin Tian introduced to everyone, His Royal Highness, even if the British start building these two classes of warships, the threat to us is quite limited. Don't we have 5 Helgoland-class battleships? The British's 2 classes of warships are no more than there are only 6 ships. Calculated, the number is 1 more than ours. And the performance of our battleships is far stronger than that of the British. What's more, the Helgoland-class battleships are still equipped with 343mm main guns. So, what His Royal Highness the Crown Prince said just now is a bit too alarmist. Little Maoqi jumped out. Although, the Navy's warship construction plan has nothing to do with him. But he just couldn't see Qin Tian's growing influence. That's right. After our Helgoland-class battleships are built, although they are inferior to the British in terms of numbers, we can still dominate in terms of overall combat power. But don't forget that we don't just want to, it's just better than the British. We plan to defeat the British in future wars. This makes us have to prepare early. What's more, the British's shipbuilding capabilities are not comparable to ours. In addition to the Street Vincent-class battleship and the Indefatigable-class battlecruiser, the British also have other shipbuilding plans. It is expected that these warships will start construction soon. If we sleep on the credit book Daju, in the end, we'll only watch the British regain their superiority in the sea. At that time, we will be under tremendous pressure. Qin Tian retorted. Yes, His Royal Highness is right. Although our Helgoland-class battleship is very strong, we have to prepare early. According to intelligence, the British have already started the development of the 343mm main gun. It's just that we have encountered some technical bottlenecks. However, with the British's scientific and technological strength, there will be almost no problems in making breakthroughs. Once the British make breakthroughs in large caliber main guns, it is foreseeable what's more, they will soon start building more new battleships. At that time, what will we use to catch up with the British? Marshal Count Tirpitz glared directly at Moltke. This is a matter for the Navy. Xiao Maoqi is the chief of the Army's General Staff, and he is not yet qualified to manage the Navy. Unless after the war broke out, the Supreme Command was formed, and Maoqi was appointed as the Chief of Staff of the German Empire's armed forces. In that case, he is qualified to dictate to the Navy. Little Maoqi smiled, and said nothing more. He raised such a question before just to disgust Qin Tian, and he never thought that he could stop the Navy from obtain more battleships. After eliciting Tirpitz's counterattack, he immediately shut up. He didn't want to have another big fight with Tirpitz. Okay, Oscar, what do you think of the capital ship of the next level? William II asked. Father, although our Blücher-class battle cruisers are about to enter service, however, the British Invincible-class battle cruisers will also enter service at almost the same time. Although our Blücher-class battle cruisers, the battleships are stronger, but once the British Indefatigable-class battle cruisers are also in service, with 3 ships against 6, our Blücher-class battle cruisers may be very difficult. What's more, we also need to launch an attack on the British sea transportation line. This makes us not inferior to the British in terms of battle cruisers. Therefore, we need to build another level of more powerful battle cruisers. King God said. King William II nodded, although he still had some doubts about the combat power of the battle cruisers. However, since the British have spared no effort to build such warships, then the development of this kind of warship is undoubtedly very promising. And if Germany wants to attack the British by attacking the British sea transportation lines in future wars, it needs to have more battle cruisers. Tirpitz, what about the Navy's opinion? William II asked. Your Majesty, the 3 Blücher-class battle cruisers are indeed not enough to achieve the Navy's strategy goals. We still need more battle cruisers. Marshal Count Tirpitz said immediately. For him, battle cruisers and battleships belong to capital ships, no matter what level they are. He hopes to have as many as possible. Although, in principle, battle cruisers are best not to be used in capital ship duels. But the battle cruisers of the German Navy may be an exception. The battle cruisers of the German Navy are certainly inferior to the battleships of the German Navy in terms of armor defense. However, it is no worse than the battleships of the British Navy. Therefore, if necessary, it is not impossible for the battle cruisers of the German Navy to join the battle line and confront the capital ships of the British Navy. Under such circumstances, Marshal Count Tirpitz naturally hoped to have more battle cruisers. King William II nodded. Oscar, please introduce your design to everyone. Yes, Your Majesty. Qin Tian nodded. Everyone, this is the next level battle cruiser I designed. It is 185 meters long, 28 meters wide, with a draft of 9.1 meters and a full load displacement of 29,000 tons. It is armed with 3 triple-mounted 343 mm 50 caliber main guns, 10 150mm single-mounted secondary guns, 12 120mm rapid-fire guns and 4 88mm rapid-fire guns. Powered by 24 improved sulfur oil-fired boilers and 4 steam turbines. 4-shaft propulsion, with a maximum power of 64,000 horsepower, maximum speed 27 knots. In terms of armor defense, the defense of the main armor belt is 330mm, the deck armor is 55mm, the frontal armor of the turret is 330mm, and the armor of the conning tower is 330mm. Compared with the Blücher class as far as battle cruisers are concerned, this class of battle cruisers have more powerful firepower, thicker armor and faster speed. Personally, I suggest that this class of battle cruisers be named Moltke-class battleships cruiser, to commemorate the immortal feats made by Marshal Moltke during the unification of the German Empire. Qin Tian introduced to everyone. Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect Qin Tian to make such a suggestion. Especially Zhao Maoki, who was even more stunned. You know, the relationship between him and Qin Tian is very bad now. And Qin Tian actually suggested naming the first-class battle cruiser after his uncle, which is undoubtedly an extremely lofty honor. Chapter 92, Kaiser-class battleship. Very good battleship, very good name. William II nodded in approval. The performance of this battle cruiser designed by Qin Tian is indeed very good, which made William II very satisfied. What made William II even more satisfied was that Qin Tian actually knew how to find a way to ease the conflict with Zhao Maoki instead of blindly confronting each other. In this case, it is undoubtedly more suitable to become the future heir of the empire. After all, being an emperor requires a broad mind. William II had to admit that in these respects, Qin Tian was much stronger than Crown Prince William. So much so that he couldn't help thinking that it was a wrong decision to let Qin Tian be the current Crown Prince and leave the position of Crown Prince for Crown Prince William. The battle cruiser designed by His Royal Highness is indeed very powerful. If it can be put into service, it will further strengthen the strength of the German Navy. Marshal Tirpitz commented on the Moltke-class battle cruiser performance, very satisfied. King William II nodded and looked at the Naval Technical Committee. In principle, each new type of warship needs to be approved by the Naval Technical Committee if it wants to start construction. Of course, because of the previous Nassau-class battleships, the Naval Technical Committee no longer dared to embarrass Qin Tian's design. They also didn't want to be slapped in the face by Qin Tian again. Ahem. Count von Warren coughed twice and had to stand up. Your Majesty, the Molt-class battleship designed by His Majesty the Crown Prince is very good in all aspects. The Naval Technical Committee believes that this is a very good battleship. However, our only concern is that the cost of the battleship will probably be very high, said Count von Warren. In order to avoid offending Qin Tian, who had become the Crown Prince, Count von Warren had already carefully considered the choice of words and sentences. Qin Tian nodded. Indeed, according to our estimates, the cost of the Molt-class battle cruisers will be very high. It is estimated that each ship will reach about 60 million marks. 60 million marks per ship? Everyone couldn't help but gasped. Such a price is undoubtedly very high. Even William II couldn't help twitching the corners of his mouth. If it weren't for Qin Tian and the royal family to provide the Navy with a loan of 100 million marks each year, the Navy would not have so much money to build these expensive warships. Everyone, the Navy is very expensive. Especially when we can't compete with the British in the number of battleships. We can only try to improve the combat effectiveness of each class of warships. Only in this way can we achieve. Only by winning more with less can we defeat the British in future naval battles. The price to be paid for this is nothing more than a high price. After all, the excellent performance of warships requires advanced technology and equipment. To pile up these are very costly, Qin Tian said. Everyone nodded repeatedly, agreeing with Qin Tian's statement. After all, strengthening the performance of each class of warships as much as possible is undoubtedly the only way for the German Navy to catch up with the British Navy at this stage. If it competes with the British Navy in quantity, the German Navy has no chance of winning. The British could even build capital ships with double or even triple the number of German Navy. In that case, the German Navy has no chance of winning at all. Do you have any objections to this? If not, then the construction of the Molt-class battle cruiser is approved. William II said. No one raised any objections. Even Zhao Maoki, who had always been against Qin Tian, remained silent. It is estimated that he also hopes that this class of battle cruisers named after his uncle can be built smoothly. William II nodded and then approved the construction of the Molt-class battle cruiser. Father, please also name the other two Molt-class battle cruisers, Qin Tian requested. The Molt-class battle cruiser is still planned to build 3 ships. King William II thought for a while and then said, the other 2 ships are called Goeben and Sedlitz respectively. Yes, father. Qin Tian had no objection to this. In addition to the battle cruiser, we also need to start building a new type of battleship as soon as possible as the follow-up battleship of the Helgoland class battleship. Qin Tian continued. Afterwards, he instructed someone to hang a large design drawing on the wall. On the blueprint, there is a huge battleship. Its shape is very similar to that of the Helgoland class battleship, and it can be said to be an improved version of the Helgoland class battleship. Everyone, this battleship is 185 meters long, 28.5 meters wide, and has a draft of 9.1 meters. Its standard displacement is 28,500 tons, and its full load displacement is 32,500 tons. Its armament is 3 triple-mounted 343 mm 50 times caliber main guns, 14 150 mm 45 caliber secondary guns, 16 88 mm 45 caliber anti-torpedo boat guns. The power is 24 improved sulfur oil-fired boilers, 4 Curtiss steam turbines, and the maximum power of the main engine is 60,004 horsepower 4-axis propulsion, and a maximum speed of 23 knots. In terms of armor defense, the main armor belt defense is 350 mm. The frontal armor of the turret and the armor of the conning tower are both 350 mm. The deck armor is 65 mm. It can be said that this class of battleship is an enlarged version of the Helgoland class battleship. It's just that we have optimized the relevant design, especially strengthened the defense. Qin Tian introduced. Regarding this, everyone has no objection. It is a common practice to improve on the basis of a certain level of battleship, strengthen certain aspects of performance, and then build another level. It is obviously unrealistic if every class of battleship has to be redesigned. Qin Tian wants to install a 380mm main gun on the capital ship of the next level. But he knew that this was simply not realistic. Although the Krupp company has already opened up its horsepower, it has just developed a 305mm 50 times the caliber and delivered it to the shipyard. The 343mm main gun is still in full public relations. It is expected to be able to catch up with the launch and outfitting of the Helgoland class battleship. If Krupp is to develop another 380mm main gun, it will probably kill them. Of course, Qin Tian would not let them relax. The 380mm main gun must be developed and equipped with warships before the outbreak of World War I. Only in this way can the German Navy have a higher chance of winning in the future. King William II asked everyone if he had any objections to this class of battleship as usual. Everyone still shook their heads, expressing no objection. As a result, the construction plan for this class of battleship was also approved. This level of battleship was named the Caesar-class battleship by William II. Chapter 93, Divide the Cake. Your Majesty, the Navy plans to build a total of 5 Caesar-class battleships. Your Majesty, please name the other 4. Marshal Earl Tirpitz looked at William II expectantly. A total of 5 of the previous Helgoland-class battleships were built. Therefore, Marshal Earl Tirpitz took it for granted that 5 Caesar-class battleships should also be built. Others have no objection to this. Although the cost of each battleship is very high, if 5 ships are built at one time, the total cost may exceed 300 million marks. But since the Navy is capable of building so many, of course other people will not stop them and become villains. William II nodded. The first ship of the Caesar-class battleship Caesar. The second ship is named Frederick the Great. The third ship is named Catherine. And the fourth ship is named King Albert. Named the fifth ship Leopold the Regent. King William II hesitated for a while and directly named several warships to be built. This makes people wonder whether William II had already prepared these names. As soon as the shipbuilding plan is approved, these names will be revealed immediately. Your Majesty is wise. These names are very good. Marshal Earl Tirpitz immediately flattered him. Others, including Qin Tian, are also flattering. This made William II very satisfied, with a smile on his face. Your Majesty, Your Royal Highness, the Crown Prince. This time, the Navy plans to build 2 classes of 8 warships. Which shipyards will build them? Asked Earl von Warren, chairman of the Naval Technical Committee. The German shipyards accounted for the majority of the 3-tier warships built before. Although there is still a sip of soup left for other shipyards, there are always shipyards that don't even have a sip of soup. Although, those small and medium-sized ones in the Navy are assigned a lot to them. But in comparison, everyone still hopes to get orders for large warships. After all, orders for large warships are not only profitable, but also a proof of the strength of the shipyard. Shipyards that can build large warships are also more confident when fighting for private orders. William II did not speak, but looked at Qin Tian. After all, these 2 warships were designed by Qin Tian. Deutsch Shipyard has a large number of large slipways. Many of these slipways have been vacated. Even if all the 8 warships of these 2 classes are eaten, there is no problem, but it will be a little bit overwhelmed. Qin Tian smiled. He knew that Count von Warren represented the interests of many shipyards. Now, the German shipyard has made other shipyards very jealous because it has received a large number of orders for large military warships. If the orders for the Moltke-class battlecruisers and the Caesar-class battleships are all taken up in one go this time, it will inevitably make other shipyards very dissatisfied and even make the German shipyard the public enemy of the entire industry. Although, Qin Tian is not afraid of this. But he had no reason to do that. As a crown prince, if he still competes with others for profit, it will cause dissatisfaction among many people regarding the construction of the Moltke-class battlecruisers and the Kaiser-class battleships. I personally think that the first ships Moltke and Kaiser should be built in Deutsch Shipyard. The other ships have the Navy can decide for itself. Qin Tian said. Being able to obtain 2 of the 8 warships already accounts for a quarter. The other 6 ships, handed over to other shipyards for construction, can also share the benefits, allowing them to enjoy the cake brought about by the expansion of naval power. This is also necessary to win the support of this group of people. Germany, after all, is a capitalist country. The owners of those shipyards undoubtedly have great influence. Qin Tian didn't want to push these guys to his opposite. Besides, the German Navy cannot be supported by just one shipyard like Deutsch shipyard. It requires the concerted efforts of many shipyards. In addition, Qin Tian also intends to build a large oil tanker in the German shipyard to accumulate experience for the future construction of aircraft carriers. Well, let's do it according to the Crown Prince's opinion. William II nodded in satisfaction. Qin Tian was able to share all these benefits instead of eating alone, which made William II very satisfied. In William II's view, Qin Tian is growing rapidly, becoming more and more like a crown prince, and even more like a monarch. Count von Warren also breathed a sigh of relief. Qin Tian did not eat alone, but gave up most of the benefits, and finally allowed other shipyards to get some orders this time. The order of 6 large warships can satisfy at least 6 large shipyards. Is this kid really not even 20 years old? Why is he act so sophisticated? Little Emoki muttered to himself. He felt more and more that Qin Tian's behavior was not at all like a person under 20 years old, but like an old fox. This also made him wonder whether it was the right thing to choose to fight against Qin Tian. Marshal Count Tirpitz looked at Qin Tian with even more approval. Originally, he was planning to remind Qin Tian that this time he could no longer eat alone. But he didn't expect Qin Tian himself to realize this. It is a blessing for the entire empire to have such a crown prince in the German Empire. Marshal Count Tirpitz couldn't help but feel emotional. Actually, Qin Tian simply didn't care about these profits. With the completion of the business expansion of the Deutsche Welfare Lottery Company in the entire European and American world, it can bring Qin Tian huge profits every month. In contrast, the profits of the German shipyards in building warships are not worth mentioning at all. The reason why Qin Tian cares about Deutschland shipyard is entirely because of the huge influence brought by a large shipyard. After all, battleships of this era can be regarded as the crystallization of science and technology, and the shipyards that can build large battleships are undoubtedly the top notch in terms of technical strength. Such a shipyard can be regarded as a key enterprise, no matter which country it is in. In addition, Qin Tian also hopes that Deutsch shipyard can act as a catfish in the German shipbuilding field, and encourage other shipyards to develop rapidly. This will undoubtedly be of great help to further enhance the strength of the German Navy. It can be seen that, in order to develop the strength of the German Navy and ensure that Germany can win in future wars, Qin Tian has taken great pains. Under Qin Tian's deliberate actions, the commissioning ceremony of the battleship Nassau this time was a joy for both the host and the guests. Chapter 94, Deutsche Ammunition AG. Congratulations, Your Royal Highness. This time your design is a great success. On the train back to Berlin, Marshal Count Tirpitz came to Qin Tian's special compartment. Your Excellency, Marshal, thank you. This is all for everyone's support. It is my honor to be able to design a powerful warship for the Navy. Qin Tian is not proud of his achievements, but is still very humble. He has always believed that humility is an essential quality of success. If you can't even do this, then success is far away. His Royal Highness, the Moltke-class battle cruisers and the Kaiser-class battleships are both excellent warships. Once the German Navy has these warships, our strength will surpass that of the British Navy. It will be even more important to defeat them in the future. I'm sure, Marshal Earl Tirpitz said confidently. At least, from the current point of view, the British have not yet started building warships with 343mm main guns. The German Navy already has 2 tiers of 10 battleships equipped with 343mm main guns under construction or about to start construction. There are also 3 battle cruisers armed with 343mm main guns. These are important capitals for the German Navy to defeat the British Navy in the future. No, Your Excellency, the Marshal is too optimistic. Although, we seem to have surpassed the British Navy now. However, we must not take it lightly. As far as I know, the British have completed, or are about to complete a large-scale naval vessel equipped with a 343mm naval gun. The battleship has been designed. It's just that there is a bottleneck in the development of their naval guns. Once the naval guns are successfully developed, they can immediately start building large battleships. They even start construction at a speed faster than ours. After all, the British have a lot of experience in shipbuilding, but no one can match. Qin Tian had a serious expression on his face. The smile on the face of Marshal Earl Tirpitz also subsided. He knew that he had become a little carried away, because a large number of battleships were about to start construction. The British have been the world hegemon for hundreds of years, and they have not encountered challenges during this period. However, in the end the British survived, and became the final victors. From this, we can see the background and determination of the British in maintaining sea power. Qin Tian also sighed, although with his support, the German Navy began to develop rapidly. However, it is not so difficult to overthrow the British Empire. It's just that, now he is already on the verge of riding a tiger. As the Crown Prince of the German Empire, he has no other choice but to go all the way to the dark. As a person who was reborn, Qin Tian naturally knew how powerful the violent soldiers were when the British felt the crisis. In another time and space that Qin Tian is familiar with, the British began to build ships frantically in 1909. In 1909, 4 Orion-class battleships equipped with 5 double-mounted 343mm main guns were started. In 1911, 4 ships were equipped with 5. The King George V class battleship with twin 343mm main guns started construction in 1912 to build 4 Iron Duke class battleships equipped with 5 twin 343mm main guns. Even in 1912 and 1913, 4 Queen Elizabeth class battleships and Revenge class battleships with twin 381mm main guns were started successively. There are 5 ships in each of these 2 classes of warships. It can be seen how terrifying it would be once the British shipbuilding capabilities exploded. His Royal Highness, we really cannot underestimate the British. There is only one chance to challenge the British's maritime supremacy. If you miss it, it will be impossible to challenge the British again. Marshal Earl Tirpitz said with a serious face. He knows very well what it means to Germany if it fails this time. It is estimated that the whole of Germany will cease to exist because of this. Qin Tian nodded. Indeed, this is our only chance. We must seize this opportunity. Otherwise, we will regret it too late. By the way, Your Excellency the Marshal, as far as I know, the British have already started the development of a larger caliber 381mm main gun. And we have not yet started the main gun of this caliber. Therefore, we also have to speed up our pace. Once the British capital ships are equipped with 381mm main guns, it will be even more difficult for us to deal with them. Qin Tian said. Well, we need to provide more support to Krupp. However, it's hard to imagine that the caliber of the battleship's main guns will increase so much in such a short period of time. This was almost unimaginable before matter, said Marshal Count Tirpitz. Qin Tian smiled and didn't say much. Will he tell Marshal Earl Tirpitz that the crazy little Japan will equip battleships with 460mm main guns in the future? His Royal Highness, now your German industrial group has covered many fields. I'm personally curious, what field will you set foot in next? Marshal Count Tirpitz asked with a smile. In the business field of Germany and even the whole world, Qin Tian is undoubtedly a miracle. The company he founded has been integrated into the Deutsche Industries Group, with a young man named Karl von Johnereit as the president of the group. Deutsche Welfare Lottery Company under the Deutsche Industries Group is known as the most profitable company. There are also Deutsche Shipyard, Deutsche Energy Company, Deutsche Engine Manufacturing Company, and Deutsche Motor Vehicle Manufacturing Company. I have asked Carol to register the German Arms Company. And, we have started building factories, recruiting workers and related engineers. Qin Tian said with a smile. Deutsche Arms Company? Is His Royal Highness the Crown Prince planning to design the field of arms? Asked Marshal Count Tirpitz. Qin Tian nodded. It's not a complete design. It's mainly for the manufacture of individual weapons. I noticed that the German Army's individual weapons and squad firepower are relatively weak. I hope to make up for this defect for the Imperial Army, Your Highness. Your original intention may be good. However, I'm afraid that this will touch the cake of some people. The equipment of the Imperial Army has always been in charge of Morza, Rheinmetall and Krupp. Your Highness hastily set foot in this. The domain is undoubtedly going to share their cake. Marshal Earl Tirpitz sighed. Who made it impossible for them to make the German army's combat effectiveness stronger. In order to win future wars, I must do so. Qin Tian shook his head, with a flash of determination in his eyes. Your Highness, you may be able to seek some advice from your Majesty, Marshal Earl Tirpitz suggested. Qin Tian nodded, and understood what he meant. Chapter 95, United Krupp. Your Majesty, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince seeks an audience. In the luxury compartment of the special train, William II was reading the document. Essen von Jonnery told him, "Let him in." William II put down the pen in his hand and rubbed his aching eyes. "Father, good evening." Qin Tian said hello as soon as he came in. "Sit down, Oscar. I haven't rested so late. What's the matter?" William II asked pleasantly. William II became more and more satisfied with this son. He even thought about whether to remove the pronoun of Qin Tian's acting crown prince. However, thinking of Crown Prince William, who is still in a vegetative state, he could not make up his mind, so he could only go on like this for the time being. "Father, there is one thing that I'm not sure about, so I want to hear your suggestion," Qin Tian said. "Oh, Oscar, is there anything else that bothers you? I'm very curious about it," William II asked with interest. You know, in his eyes, Qin Tian has always been very decisive. Thus, Qin Tian confessed to Wilhelm II that he planned to establish a German arms company and enter the field of light weapons. After hearing this, William II couldn't help frowning. "Oscar, your idea is good. However, the Imperial Army's light weapons have always been provided by Morza and Rheinmetall. Over the years, they have formed a huge chain of interests. Once you touch them, their interests will inevitably lead to their counterattack. Even if you are the crown prince, I'm afraid you will pay a considerable price for it." William II looked serious. You know, even if he is the emperor of the empire, he doesn't want to overstimulate those industrial capitalists. "Father, is there no other way? Although, the combat effectiveness of the German army is the best in the world, but I think they still have a lot of room for improvement. I hope that the weapons and equipment produced by the German arms company can make Germany. The army's combat effectiveness has been raised to a higher level. In this way, our chances of winning will be even greater in future wars. I hope that more young people can survive the war." Qin Tian looked sincere. Perhaps moved by Qin Tian's innocence, William II also began to actively use his brain to find a solution to the problem. After a while, he really thought of a way. "Oscar, it is not impossible for your plan to succeed. The key is whether you are willing to give up part of the profits," William II said. "Father, you mean to unite with other people?" Qin Tian asked. Being smart, he figured out William II's approach immediately. "Yes, only in this way can you resist their pressure," William II said. "Then, Royal Father, who should I seek alliance with?" Qin Tian asked. He doesn't care about sharing part of the profits. What he wanted was for his plan to succeed. As for whether he can make money or how much money he can make, he doesn't care much. "Krupp, I heard that you have a good relationship with them. If you can unite with Krupp, it should be very good," William II said. Deutsche Shipyard and Krupp have indeed cooperated very happily. Krupp's large caliber naval gun was developed at our request. Now, they are doing their best to publicize the 343mm naval gun. It is precisely because of our request, Qin Tian said. There is another reason, because Krupp has always been the largest and most influential among the many arms companies in the empire. If it can be united with Krupp, then the other arms companies, the pressure can be ignored. For a long time, Krupp has always wanted to enter the field of light weapons, but it has not been able to succeed due to the boycott of other arms companies. If you can take this opportunity to get involved in the field of light weapons, I don't think they will refuse, said William II. Yes, Father, I understand. Thank you for your guidance, Qin Tian said. Krupp is undoubtedly a giant in the German arms industry, and its position in the field of artillery is unmatched by anyone. In addition, Krupp has also been involved in many fields, such as steel and shipbuilding. However, in the field of light weapons, Krupp has made little achievements. If Qin Tian can unite with Krupp, it will undoubtedly be a strong alliance. It can be of great help to break Germany's current monopoly in the field of light weapons. In addition, as William II said, if you unite with Krupp, you don't have to worry about resistance from other arms companies. After all, Krupp is a real giant in this regard. Do it well, Oscar. I really want to see what kind of achievements you will make. William II's expectations for Qin Tian are getting bigger and bigger. Father, I will definitely not let you down, Qin Tian promised. After returning to Berlin, Qin Tian immediately asked Carol to contact the Krupp company. He was going to visit the head of the Krupp company, the Krupp couple. The last time Qin Tian went to Krupp, Miss Beta Krupp was still in power. They reached an agreement, which made Krupp accelerate the research of large caliber naval guns. This allowed the Nassau-class battleship and the Blücher-class battlecruiser to be completed on time. Otherwise, just like in another time and space, use the 280mm main gun instead. As a result, the capital ships of the German Imperial Navy had solid armor, but no sharp spears to strike the enemy. Of course, the two-tier warships have a total of 24 triple-mounted 305mm 50 caliber main guns, which also made Krupp a lot of profits. This enabled Krupp to carry out research on the 343mm main gun with high morale. After all, the Navy has a greater need for a 343mm main gun than a 305mm main gun. After Gustav Krupp joined the Krupp family, he and Miss Vita Krupp began to take charge of the largest arms empire in the German Empire. However, when he learned that Qin Tian was coming to visit, he still showed great importance. After all, compared to the last time, Qin Tian's identity has also undergone earth-shaking changes. The previous Qin Tian, although he was called a business genius, was just an ordinary prince after all. But now it is different. Qin Tian is the crown prince. Although there is a generation character, it is also the crown prince. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, Request Again. His Royal Highness, you are welcome to come to Krupp Company. Gustav Krupp and Beta Krupp had been waiting at the entrance of Krupp Company for a long time, and they greeted Qin immediately after getting off the car. Going up, the faces full of smiles. Hello Mr. Krupp. Qin Tian stretched out his hand and shook hands with Gustav Krupp. For this man who joined the Krupp family and then took control of the largest military empire in Germany, Qin Tian did not dare to underestimate him at all. It can be said that it was in the hands of this man that the Krupp company developed more rapidly and became stronger, becoming an arms giant in Germany and the world. Miss Krupp, hello, we meet again, Qin Tian said with a smile on his face, and Beta Krupp are relatively familiar. It was precisely because of his request and the courage of Ms. Beta Krupp that the Krupp company invested heavily in the research of new large caliber naval guns, so that these capital ships of the German Navy would not die due to the lack of main guns delay in service. To this end, Krupp has made great efforts. Of course, the steady stream of orders has also allowed Krupp to make a lot of profits. You know, the main guns of battleships can be sold with one hammer. The main guns of battleships are very large in caliber and heavy in weight, which makes the cost of main guns of battleships high. Moreover, this kind of main gun has to change the barrel after firing a certain amount of shells. Otherwise, if the rifling is severely worn, it will seriously affect the accuracy of the shelling. For Krupp, as long as they sell one cannon, the follow-up services will also allow them to earn more profits. Hello, Your Royal Highness. Miss Beta Krupp also smiled. Although she married Gustav Krupp, the main affairs of the company have been handed over to Gustav Krupp. However, she holds the majority of Krupp shares. Therefore, as long as she wants, she can take back the company at any time. After exchanging pleasantries, Qin Tian was directly invited to Gustav Krupp's office. In the entire office, apart from Qin Tian, there were only the Krupps and his wife. They obviously knew that Qin Tian would not come to the door without incident. Mr. Krupp, the Navy is very satisfied with the new naval gun developed by Krupp. The 305mm naval gun with 50 times the caliber has extremely powerful armor-piercing capability. I believe that this has far surpassed that of the British Navy caliber guns naval. Even the British Navy's larger caliber naval guns are incomparable in power. Qin Tian expressed his appreciation. His Royal Highness, it is a duty to produce a main gun with qualified performance for the Imperial Navy. Of course, this is also inseparable from the support of His Royal Highness. If His Royal Highness hadn't insisted on us to develop it, perhaps now there is no such main gun at all. Gustav Krupp replied. Qin Tian nodded. No matter what, Krupp's support for the Navy and him is undoubtedly very great. I come to Krupp this time, and I mainly have a few things to discuss with you and your wife, Qin Tian said. The expressions on the faces of the Krupps also became serious. They knew that the drama was coming. The first thing is that the Navy has increased the construction of a first-class battleship and a first-class battle cruiser, and it is expected to start construction soon. There are a total of 8 ships, and 24 triple-mounted 343mm main guns are required. In addition to the previous 15 seats 343mm main guns. The Navy hopes that Krupp can speed up the development and production of 50 times the caliber 343mm main guns and produce them before the Helgoland class battleships are launched. Otherwise, this will delay the service time of the capital ship, Qin Tian said. His Royal Highness, there is no problem. We have made a breakthrough in the development of the 50 caliber 343mm main gun and have completed most of the development work. It is expected to be completed before the end of 1908. It should be no problem, Gustav Krupp assured. Qin Tian was satisfied with this. Anyway, the Helgoland class battleship will also be launched at the end of 1908. At that time, Krupp's main gun will just be able to catch up. As for the follow-up Caesar-class battleships and Malte-class battle cruisers, they are even further behind. In addition, the Navy hopes that Krupp will start researching the main guns of larger caliber battleships from now on. Qin Tian continued. Larger caliber main gun? Gustav Krupp and Dieter Krupp both gasped. You know, because of Qin Tian's request, Krupp's research and development department has been operating at full capacity for these years. Even so, it could barely meet Qin Tian's request. Now, they were finally about to complete the development of the 343mm main gun, but before they had time to rest, Qin Tian actually put forward new requirements. You know, the research on the main guns of battleships is not as simple as eating and drinking. Especially the larger the caliber, the difficulty will increase exponentially. Qin Tian's request is undoubtedly a huge problem for Krupp. Mr. Krupp, there is no problem. Our next level capital ship will no longer use 343mm main guns, but will use 380mm main guns. This is not because I want to make things difficult for you, but the current situation is tense, and we must catch up. Our old rivals, the British, have already started the development of the 381mm main gun. In this respect, we must not lag behind them. Otherwise, in future naval battles, our Navy can't use small caliber main guns to deal with the British's large caliber main guns, right? In that case, it would be irresponsible for the Imperial Navy. Qin Tian said with a serious face said. Although, judging from the current situation, the German Navy has already caught up with the British Navy in terms of new capital ships, and even has formed a certain degree of overtaking in terms of combat power. However, Qin Tian knew that he must not take it lightly. The development speed of the British Navy is undoubtedly very terrifying. Once the German Navy stops its development, it may soon be caught up by the British Navy, or even surpassed. Qin Tian didn't want the British Queen Elizabeth-class battleships to ravage the capital ships of the German Navy with their 381mm main guns in future naval battles. Of course, the 50 times the caliber 343mm main gun equipped by the German Navy is not necessarily weaker than the 45 times the 381mm main gun of the British Navy. However, if it can have a larger caliber main gun, the possibility of the German Navy winning will naturally be higher. Chapter 97, Strong Alliance. After hearing Qin Tian's words, the Krupp couple couldn't help thinking. There is no doubt that Qin Tian now requires them to develop the 380mm main gun, which has overwhelmed the R&D department of Krupp. Even the large amount of money invested will make Krupp feel tremendous pressure. However, in the face of Qin Tian's request and the needs of the Imperial Navy, it is difficult for them to say no, and there is no reason to refuse. After all, as Germany's largest arms company, the fate of Krupp and the German Empire have long been tied together. Germany is prosperous and strong, and Krupp can also become stronger. Even in order to obtain more profits, Krupp is eager for Germany to launch a war abroad. Only in this way, the requirements for arms will be greater. But if Germany loses in future wars, it will undoubtedly be a heavy blow to Krupp. Even Krupp may cease to exist. Therefore, Krupp must also try its best to help Germany win the war. This is also very important to them. His Royal Highness, although your request is very difficult for us to fulfill. However, for the sake of the Empire, we will try our best to complete it. I will immediately organize manpower and start the development of the 380mm main gun. However, the successful development of a large caliber main gun will definitely not happen overnight, and the time required may be very long. Gustav Krupp said. They only need to hesitate for a moment before they know what to do. Faced with Qin Tian's request, the needs of the German Navy, and more importantly, the need to win future wars, they had no way to refuse, and there was no reason to refuse. Although, the development of the 380mm main gun now will make Krupp invest a lot of money and even affect their profits. But in order to be able to win the war, they also have no choice. What's more, once the 380mm main gun is successfully developed, the shipyard's order will also allow them to make a lot of profits. Mr. Krupp, it would be great if Krupp can do this. As for the research and development time, I know this very well. The war will not be fought for a while, so I think we still have enough time, Qin Tian said with a smile. In Qin Tian's plan, before the outbreak of future wars, as long as the German Navy can have battleships equipped with 380mm naval guns, that will be enough. In this case, the strength of the German Navy can be further ahead of the British Navy. With the British Navy cutting-edge battleships and battle cruisers of the German Navy, it is enough to make the Royal Navy of the British Empire suffer. If it is combined with submarines and aircraft carriers to attack the Royal Navy, there should be no problem at all. As long as the German Navy can defeat the British Navy, the rest of the war will undoubtedly be much easier. When the mainland is threatened, it is conceivable how many expeditionary troops the British can send to France to fight. As for the Americans, will they still dare to join the war? Anyway, Qin Tian believed that with the American principle of doing everything for their own interests, they would never dare to confront the mighty Germany at that time. As for Russia, if there is a revolution in the country, they will be too busy to take care of themselves. Therefore, there is only one enemy that Germany will really face at that time, and that is the old enemy France. Without the support of other countries, can France still withstand the German attack? Anyway, Qin Tian didn't think that France had such strength. In particular, the German army will also receive Qin Tian's support in the future, and will be equipped with a large number of advanced weapons. This will make the German army more powerful. Beating France will be a piece of cake for them. Mr. Krupp, there is one last thing. Deutsche Industries Group has established a German arms manufacturing company, preparing to get involved in the manufacture of light weapons. I hope that I can get the support of Krupp. Qin Tian continued. Is His Royal Highness the Crown Prince going to enter the field of arms? Gustav Krupp frowned tightly. Peter Krupp also had a bad face. After all, although the profits in the arms field are very high, the entire market is only so big. Once Qin Tian intervenes in this field, it will inevitably greatly reduce the profits of other arms companies. Especially in Qin Tian's capacity, he will definitely win the favor of the military. This is really unfair to other arms companies. Of course, the German arms company is involved in light weapons, which poses no threat to Krupp for the time being. Krupp's main business is various types of artillery, especially the Navy's large caliber naval gun, which is undoubtedly a flagship product of Krupp, and other companies do not have this strength, even if they want to compete with it. Gustav Krupp and Peter Krupp also knew that, since Qin Tian had already said so, even if they objected, it would be useless. In the whole of Germany, apart from Kaiser Wilhelm II, it is estimated that no one can make Qin Tian bow his head. Since it cannot be stopped, it is better to choose to support it. In this case, the relationship between the two parties can be further strengthened. Thinking of this, Gustav Krupp immediately made a decision in his mind. Yes, Mr. Krupp, I intend to enter the field of arms. Of course, I only enter this field to a limited extent. Although the combat effectiveness of the German army is the best in the world, we still have a lot of potential to tap. Especially in terms of light weapons, we have not formed an overwhelming advantage over other countries. Therefore, I hope that we can achieve results in this field, so that the combat effectiveness of the German army can be further improved. This is crucial for Germany. To win in the future war is very necessary. After all, our navy has become stronger, which can certainly give us a great chance of winning. But in the end, we must rely on the army to defeat the enemy and complete the occupation of the enemy's country. King God said. Gustav Krupp nodded. His Royal Highness, how do you need Krupp's support? Gustav Krupp asked. Mr. Krupp, for the Deutsche Arms Company, I hope that Krupp can take a stake in it. That is to say, the two of us jointly hold the shares of the Deutsche Arms Company to achieve a strong alliance. I think this is for both of us. It's very beneficial. After Qin Tian finished speaking, he looked at Gustav Krupp, waiting for his answer. He believed that Gustav Krupp would not refuse. Chapter 98, reached an agreement. Gustav Krupp was completely shocked. In his opinion, after the establishment of the German Arms Company, it must be able to make money. Especially if a breakthrough can be achieved in light weapons, then with Qin Tian's influence, the German army will inevitably purchase the weapons they produce in large quantities. This undoubtedly means huge profits. But now, Qin Tian is willing to share this part of the profit with them, which is completely beyond their expectations. His Royal Highness, do you mean that Krupp can take a stake in Deutsche Arms? Gustav Krupp asked with some uncertainty. Yes, Mr. Krupp. I'm willing to jointly hold shares in Deutsche Arms with Krupp. Qin Tian smiled. Gustav Krupp took a deep breath, suppressed the excitement in his heart, and then said, Your Royal Highness, this is our honor. Qin Tian was not surprised that Gustav Krupp would agree. That was the way it was. As long as Gustav Krupp's head wasn't caught by the door, he wouldn't refuse to partner with him. This is a surefire deal. His Royal Highness, how can we cooperate? Gustav Krupp asked. In his opinion, even if Krupp loses a little later, this is acceptable. Mr. Krupp, Deutsche Industries AG shares in cash and Krupp in technology. Although light weapons are not what Krupp is good at. But I believe that you also have a certain accumulation of technology in this regard. It should be fully capable of developing the several weapons I designed. Qin Tian said. Gustav Krupp was not surprised that Qin Tian was able to design weapons for the army. Perhaps in his eyes, Qin Tian has long been synonymous with genius. Not only a business genius, but also a genius in shipbuilding. Isn't the army's weapons also a piece of cake for Qin Tian? Gustav Krupp nodded. It is completely acceptable for Krupp to invest in technology. His Royal Highness, how many shares can Krupp hold in the German Arms Company? Gustav Krupp asked. In business talk business, since the two parties are going to cooperate, Gustav Krupp naturally hopes to obtain more profits. Mr. Krupp, Deutsche Arms Company and Deutsche Industry Group invested 100 million marks, holding 70% of the shares. Krupp invested in technology and held 30% of the shares. What do you think? King God asked. His Royal Highness, 30% of the shares is too little. How about this? Krupp will invest another 50 million marks in addition to technology to increase the shares to 50%. Gustav husband Krupp said. As Germany's largest arms giant, Krupp's profits are also very impressive. This makes them also very abundant in terms of funds. Qin Tian shook his head. Although he agreed to partner with Krupp, it didn't mean that he was about to give up his holding of the German Arms Company. Qin Tian hoped that this munitions company would be completely in his hands, and he did not want any problems to arise in the future. Mr. Krupp, 50% of the shares is impossible. I hope to be able to control this arms company. I believe that you don't want someone to seize control of Krupp, do you? Qin Tian said with a smile. If everyone can't agree on this issue, Qin Tian would even rather give up the cooperation with Krupp. Gustav Krupp nodded. In fact, his request for 50% of the shares was just a test for Qin Tian. Now it seems that Qin Tian's attitude is relatively undoubtedly tough on the issue of the company's holdings. Then, on this issue, there is naturally no need to say anything more. Okay, Your Royal Highness. Krupp is willing to use technology and 30 million marks to occupy 40% of the shares of the German arms company. Gustav Krupp chose to give in. Qin Tian nodded and gave up 40% of the shares. He still has 60% of the shares in his hand. This is already complete control of the company. Although, a lot of profit will be lost as a result. However, he doesn't care about that. Mr. Krupp, may we have a happy cooperation? Qin Tian raised the wine glass on the table. The **** red liquor was reverberating in the wine glass. Happy cooperation. Gustav Krupp had a smile on his face. Ding. The two wine glasses were slammed together, making a crisp sound. This also means that Qin Tian has further cooperation with the Krupp company and the Krupp family. Even if it is for their own future interests, the Krupp family will fully support Qin Tian. Mr. Krupp, the Deutsche Arms company wants to share the profits of small arms, which will inevitably cause a full backlash from Mauser and Rheinmetall. After all, they regard the army's small arms as their taboo. On this issue now, I'm afraid the Krupp family needs to coordinate. Qin Tian said. Gustav Krupp nodded. Mauser and Rheinmetall are undoubtedly the largest suppliers of light weapons to the German army. Although these two arms companies are not comparable to Krupp, they are also very important in Germany. The weapons they produce are also sold overseas. They also have huge influence in Germany in the military. If they strongly oppose the German arms company, the development of the German arms company will inevitably struggle. His Royal Highness, with His Highness' influence and the capabilities of Krupp, they can completely resist their counterattack. I don't think this should be a problem. Gustav Krupp said. He had already guessed that, after becoming a shareholder of the Deutsche Arms company, he would definitely need to contribute. Otherwise, Qin Tian would not have offered to cooperate with Krupp. After all, Qin Tian can do it alone. Qin Tian has enough funds in his hands, and as for technicians, he can also find them easily. No matter how bad it is, you can poach the corners of other companies. It now appears that the reason why Qin Tian sought cooperation with Krupp was to deal with the pressure from Mauser and Rheinmetall. Regarding this, Gustav Krupp certainly would not refuse. Krupp has always been a competitor with Mauser and Rheinmetall. Krupp has long coveted the profits of light weapons and wanted to enter this field. However, due to the resistance of Mauser and Rheinmetall, it has not been able to succeed. Now, they finally have this opportunity to enter this field. Chapter 99, Squad Firepower. His Royal Highness, now we are partners. I really want to know, how do you compete with Mauser and Rheinmetall in terms of small arms? You know, Mauser's Mauser 1898 rifle, this is the German army standard rifle. Gustav Krupp looked curious. You must know that Mauser and Rheinmetall have a very large share of the German army's small arms. For a long time, I don't know how many companies want to challenge them. However, none of them succeeded in the end. Even Krupp cannot compare with them in light weapons. Of course, Mr. Krupp. For partners, I have never kept secrets. Qin Tian said with a smile. Of course he knew that Gustav Krupp was skeptical about whether Deutsche Arms could *** the army's share of weapons and equipment from Mauser and Rheinmetall. After all, their opponents are really too strong in this field. Qin Tian resigned from the briefcase he carried with him and took out a stack of design drawings. These blueprints are all weapons and equipment designed by Qin Tian, and the main parameters are marked on them. Gustav Krupp took a look and then got stuck in these weapons and equipment. I think the firepower of our current army's platoons is still too weak. Although the army is equipped with MG-08 heavy machine guns, that thing weighs 69 kilograms and requires several people to lift it. It simply cannot accompany the infantry on the front line. Attack together. Therefore, the army needs lighter and stronger squad firepower. This weapon in your hand, I call it a light machine gun, also known as a squad machine gun, which means a machine gun that can be equipped to an infantry squad. Qin Tian explained. The squad machine gun designed by Qin Tian is, to be precise, a plagiarized Czech machine gun. The performance of the Czech machine gun is certainly not the best among many light machine guns. However, the simple structure and good reliability make such a machine gun widely equipped with the Chinese army in another time and space, and it played a great role in the battlefield of the anti-Japanese war. Based on Germany's existing technology, it is not difficult to produce Czech machine guns. Is every infantry squad equipped with a machine gun? If so, the army's firepower is too abnormal. Gustav Krupp couldn't help but gasped. Each infantry squad is equipped with a light machine gun. In my opinion, this is very necessary. Whether it is offensive or defensive, the firepower is powerful, and it can always kill the most enemies at the lowest cost. King God said. He clearly remembered that in another time and space, the First World War turned into a trench warfare. In such a war, the power of machine guns is undoubtedly very terrifying. Especially for the defensive side, the machine gun is completely a sharp weapon for slaughtering enemy personnel. Gustav turned this page and looked at the second page. On the design drawing on the second page, it was still a machine gun. It's just that the shape is bigger and more murderous. This machine gun, I have become a general purpose machine gun. Compared with the MG08 machine gun we are equipped with now, it is lighter in weight, and with the gun frame, it is only less than 1/3. However, the firepower is more powerful than the MG08 heavy machine gun, although it is still relatively heavy for infantry. However, a machine gun group can also be carried. In this way, when the infantry attacks, it can exert great firepower. Qin Tian continued. The general purpose machine gun on the design drawings is the later German MG34 general purpose machine gun that he plagiarized. Although the performance is slightly worse than that of MG42, but relatively speaking, the conditions for development are also simpler. Gustav Krupp nodded. If Ducharmes can develop this general purpose machine gun, among other things, it will completely replace all MG08 heavy machine guns. There will be no problem. This weapon alone means a huge order. If squad machine guns can also be adopted by the army, and each infantry squad is equipped with one, then the order will be even greater. Although Gustav Krupp hasn't looked at the back design yet, but he has concluded that with Qin Tian's 2 machine guns, Ducharmes' company doesn't have to worry about losing money. If you want to make money, that's for sure. The design behind is 2 rifles, a semi-automatic rifle and a sniper rifle. Although the performance of the Mauser 1898 rifle is very good, the rate of fire is too slow. In future wars, the density of firepower will become more important. If infantry can be equipped with semi-automatic rifles, it will make the troops more powerful, even directly gaining an overwhelming advantage in the war. The importance of sniper rifles is naturally self-evident. On the battlefield, a sniper equipped with a sniper rifle is simply synonymous with death. The enemy's low-level officers, machine gunners, etc., will all become their targets. The importance of snipers on the battlefield will become even more abnormal. Next, there are designs for grenades and mortars. Although mortar is not a new term anymore, since it appeared after the Russo-Japanese War, all countries have begun to pay attention to it, but its development is still very slow. Mortars are undoubtedly an extremely important infantry support weapon, and they will pose a deadly threat to enemy troops who are long in the trenches. However, the current development is still very slow. Qin Tian designed 3 types of mortars, namely 60mm light mortar, 81mm medium mortar, and 120mm heavy mortar. Of course, these mortars are all plagiarized designs of later generations. The projectile is a smaller mortar, and the design principle is very similar to that of the mortar. However, it is lighter in weight and of course less powerful. One soldier can carry it, and it can also carry multiple grenades at the same time. Qin Tian believes that it is possible to equip each infantry squad with a grenade launcher. In this case, the firepower of the German infantry squad will become more powerful. Come to think of it, every infantry squad is equipped with light machine guns, grenadiers, sniper rifles and semi-automatic rifles. How powerful this will make the infantry firepower of the German army become. In future wars, no matter which country's army it is in, it is likely that it will be severely suppressed by the German army in terms of firepower. It is naturally much easier for the German army to win. After reading these designs, Gustav Krupp looked at Qin Tian with a hint of admiration. In his opinion, Qin Tian is clearly a genius. At the same time, I have more confidence in the German Arms Company. Chapter 100, Miss 75. His Royal Highness, I will organize engineers to conduct research and development as soon as possible and strive to turn these weapons from blueprints into reality in the shortest possible time. By then, we will definitely win the favor of the army in terms of light weapons. At that time, we will also get orders. It will be easy. Gustav Krupp looked excited. Gustav Krupp seems to have seen that Morza and Rheinmetall will be devastated by the German Arms Company. Most of their market share will be seized by German arms companies. Well, with Krupp's research and development capabilities, it shouldn't be a problem to turn these design drawings into reality within a year. Qin Tian asked. Although Krupp has no achievements in light weapons, however, their research and development capabilities are still very strong. 1 year is enough. Your Royal Highness, we will definitely be able to develop these weapons and equipment within 1 year. Gustav Krupp promised. Mr. Krupp, it would be great if the development can be completed within 1 year. However, in terms of performance, we cannot compromise. In terms of reliability, we must also strive to be the best. Otherwise, I want to convince the army it's not that easy for those guys. Qin Tian said. Yes, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Gustav Krupp nodded. German weapons have always been striving for perfection, which makes the design of weapons very complicated. The most obvious example is undoubtedly the Tiger tank of the German army in World War II. Although the staggered arrangement of road wheels meets the needs of the heavy Tiger tank, it also makes the repair and maintenance of the Tiger tank a disaster. Of course, this was mainly due to the lack of rubber in Germany at that time, and the performance of industrial rubber could not beat, so it had to adopt such a design. In addition, the cost of German weapons is also very high, so that the German army will not equip too many new weapons. This severely restricted the German army's combat power. In this time and space, Qin Tian naturally wants to avoid such a situation from happening again as much as possible. Therefore, for the weapons and equipment he designed, he selected weapons with excellent performance as much as possible, and at the same time, designed relatively simple weapons. Next, if the technology can be developed enough, he also hopes to develop the AK-47. In this case, the combat effectiveness of the German army will be even more abnormal. Gustav Krupp is very satisfied with this cooperation with Qin Tian. Especially those excellent designs that Qin Tian came up with meant huge profits. Mr. Krupp, I hope that the development of these light weapons will not affect the development of the Navy's naval guns. The Navy's guns come first. Qin Tian said solemnly. Qin Tian knows well that the Navy is Germany's shortcoming, and it is also the main reason why Germany will lose the war in another time and space. Therefore, he has always attached great importance to the Navy. Only when the Navy defeats the British Navy, Germany's overseas trade will not be cut off, and Germany will be able to continue the war without being dragged to death by Britain, France, the United States and other countries. As for the army, it is naturally good to be able to strengthen the combat effectiveness of the army. Even if this cannot be achieved, it doesn't matter. Anyway, the combat effectiveness of the German army is the best in the world, and at most it is just that more people die in the war. Of course, the population of Germany is not much, so the life of every German soldier is very precious. If the casualties of the troops can be reduced as much as possible, why not do it? Yes, Your Royal Highness. We will definitely put the Navy's naval guns first. We will deploy additional people to study light weapons. It will not affect the development of the Navy's naval guns. Gustav Krupp nodded solemnly. He knew very well how much Qin Tian valued the Navy. If it affects the construction of the Navy, I'm afraid Qin Tian will be very dissatisfied. In this case, the cooperation between the two parties will be affected. By the way, Mr. Krupp, do you know the M1897 75mm rapid fire gun of the French army? Qin Tian asked. M1897 75mm rapid fire gun. Gustav Krupp frowned. Of course he knew about this standard field gun of the French army. However, no attention has been paid to it. In his opinion, German artillery is the most important. Of course, the performance of these artillery produced by Krupp is the most advanced. Mr. Krupp, I promise, it is a very terrifying artillery. If we don't pay attention to it, it will make our army suffer a lot in future wars. Qin Tian said with a serious face. M1897 French 75mm field gun, also known as Ms 75, was the main artillery of the French army in World War I. Although this kind of artillery weighs only 1.5 tons, it has a range of 8,500 meters. What is even more terrifying is the rate of fire of this kind of artillery. The maximum rate of fire can reach 15 rounds per minute. Such a rate of fire undoubtedly exceeds that of the same type of artillery in all other countries. Of course, this also includes German field guns of the same caliber. In another World War I in time and space, the German army was often hit by intensive firepower from the French artillery when attacking, causing huge casualties. Although, the German army's main 105mm artillery can suppress the French artillery. But in terms of rate of fire, there is still no comparison. If Germany can have artillery with the same performance, this will further improve the artillery strength of the German army. Is it that powerful? Gustav Krupp expressed doubts. After all, he firmly believes that the artillery produced by Krupp is the most advanced. The maximum rate of fire of this French 75mm field gun has reached 15 rounds per minute. Qin Tian said. What? It's impossible. Gustav Krupp immediately jumped up with an expression of disbelief. But when he saw Qin Tian's serious expression, he couldn't help but believe that what Qin Tian said was true. God, how did the French do it? How could they let a field gun fire at a rate of 15 rounds per minute? This is too terrifying. Gustav Krupp was shocked. The French have completely solved the problem of recoil on this field gun. The gun body can slide on the cradle through the guide wheel. When the piston compresses the hydraulic oil, a part of the hydraulic oil enters the air chamber through a narrow oil valve to compress the air. When the gun sits to the end, it returns to its original position under the reaction of the compressed air. This makes their artillery fire speed very fast. Of course, in order to confuse us, they deliberately reduced the rate of fire when they advertised. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.